Doge people are learning, and they will make mistakes. But we have to let them see what is going on at SSA, Dudek told the group, according to the notes. I am relying on longtime career people to inform my work, but I am receiving decisions that are made without my input. I have to effectuate those decisions. I mean, this guy's basically saying, I'm just following orders.
I guess, yeah. Just for the record, I'm only doing this because I was told to do it.
There's Grok has had a lot of submissions lately of, Grok, can you rewrite I'm just following orders into something that doesn't sound like I'm just following orders?
Can you take the phrase the banality of evil and put it in Gen Z slang?
Yeah.
You figure that out for me?
Yeah, the Riz of Ohio.
So this Dudek guy, he has announced plans to slash 7,000 jobs, a cut of more than 12%. He has moved to close regional hubs and field offices that serve the public, eliminated entire programs, and consolidated departments. An exodus of senior executives on his watch, some voluntary, others forced, is fast depleting decades of expertise. And this week, the long-struggling disability benefits system came under threat as backlogged state offices that review claims were told there would be no more overtime or hiring. This also comes as the former head of the SSA started appearing on cable news to sound the alarm bells and inform recipients that they might see an interruption in benefits in as little as 30 to 90 days.
Start saving up now.
You know how your kids and grandkids told you that no one hides money under the mattress anymore, old man? Well, guess what? Now's your chance to finally throw it back at them.
Yeah.
And say, it's a good thing I got this mattress money because Social Security check didn't show up.
Time to get out the metal detector and start scanning the backyard for those mason jars.
That's right. Also, just to wrap this week of the Trump administration issues up, those tariffs that he enacted on Canada and Mexico earlier this week, which was the second time he did it.
In a month or so, yeah.
So he's already reversed most of them again, but only, of course, after tanking the economy all week long. And he's now ready to sign an official order that would dismantle the Department of Education, something conservatives have been threatening to do for decades. Here's CNN.
White House officials have prepared an executive order directing Education Secretary Linda McMahon to begin the process of dismantling the department, the sources said. The draft order directs McMahon to take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Education Department while operating to the maximum extent appropriate and permitted by law. The experiment of controlling American education through federal programs and dollars and the unaccountable bureaucrats those programs and dollars support has failed our children, our teachers, and our families, the draft order reads. It's not clear when Trump would sign the order, but White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt wrote on X that it would not be Thursday.
So... Okay.
They're getting ready for it.
Education in this country sucks. So what if we just did no education? No education.
They should do it like right at the beginning of June. They're like, school out forever.
Yeah.
The reporting adds that hours after being confirmed, McMahon sent a message to her staff titled, Our Department's Final Mission.
What the fuck?
In which she invited employees to join us in this historic final mission on behalf of all students. This is our opportunity to perform one final, unforgettable public service to future generations of students, she said. I hope you will join me in ensuring that when our final mission is complete, we will all be able to say that we left American education freer, stronger, and with more hope for the future.
God, this is, that's fucking evil.
Grok, can you, I wrote this down, but final solution sounds really weird.
Yeah.
Can you rewrite this whole statement on the Department of Education?
This is, I mean, it's like what they're taught, like they're acting like they're making things better and fixing things. And really what they'll do is just make it so homeschooling is even more no rules. Just do whatever the fuck you want. Who cares? Educate your kids however the fuck you want. We won't look. And also, poor neighborhoods will get no fucking money whatsoever from the federal government.
Again, the long and short of this is that this will be a major effect on poor and underserved communities, and upper middle class and rich kids. It'll actually benefit them because they will get massive tax breaks to go to private schools.
There won't be any...
They'll get tax credits. That's the whole fucking game.
That's another part of it. But yeah, there'll be no distribution whatsoever of funds to the places that need it the most. So, but I don't know. It seems bad for the future of the education of most American kids, but we don't care we don't care about those ones.
And Trump has already said publicly that he loves the uneducated. So
he does. He does.
But
moving on. last week we mentioned that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was publicly opposed to accused sex traffickers, abusers, and rapists Andrew and Tristan Tate relocating to his Sunshine State after their travel ban was mysteriously removed after discussions between the Trump administration and Romanian officials who were supposed to be keeping them there while they await trial. But they're back. Well, we're not sure if Barron Trump, the very tall son of our president, personally asked for the release of the Tate brothers because he loves their podcast and their advice so much and is a student of Tate University.
Yeah.
The exact details are still a mystery, but it really looks like the Trump administration had everything to do with it. The BBC reported that several high-level White House officials took an interest in the case and that one of Trump's top envoys apparently brought it up directly with Romania's foreign minister during that trip to Munich where J.D. Vance destroyed U.S.-Europe relations, from their reporting. On Thursday, the brothers arrived in Florida after previously being banned from leaving Romania while the case against them is pending. When asked about the Tates at the White House on Thursday, President Trump said, "I know nothing about that." But the brothers have been the subject of recent high-level discussions between the U.S. and Romania. This is so stupid.
Yep.
This is ridiculous. This is insane.
Yeah.
Like, of all the people, all the Americans caught up in, like, international incidents to, like, really stick your neck out for, these fucking pieces
He's
of
not
shit.
even, he's got dual citizenship, but not American.
He has American citizenship.
Yeah, he does. Dual.
Right.
But still, it's a bizarre case to take on because considering the allegations against them and the evidence against them.
Right.
And the fact that up until a week ago, there was a travel ban on these two guys internationally.
Right, it's super corrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to Romania. This isn't that surprising when you've seen it with your own eyes.
I loved Romania.
I thought Bucharest was the most depressing city I've ever been, but Transylvania, don't listen to Dracula. One of the most beautiful places on earth.
Yeah.
Honest to God. Gorgeous. And the Troika. Be careful, it turns you into a vampire.
The reporting continues. Romanian officials say U.S. counterparts brought up the brothers' case with the Romanian government earlier this month, a story first reported by the Financial Times. And Trump's special envoy, Richard Grenell, raised the issue again at a security conference in Munich. The Tate brothers are Trump supporters and also have ties to figures in his administration. One of Tate's lawyers now works as White House liaison to the U.S. Justice Department.
Wait, what the fuck?
Paul Ingracia was part of a team representing the Tate brothers in a defamation lawsuit they filed in Florida against several of their alleged victims. The Tates have also been talked about by several people in Trump's orbit, including Donald Trump Jr. and Elon Musk. Trump Jr. once called Tate's detention in Romania absolute insanity. Musk reinstated Andrew Tate's account, which had been banned on X, and suggested, perhaps in jest, that Tate would make a good UK prime minister. That's where they have the dual citizenship.
Like, you don't have to do any of this. Like, it's really, like, it's fucking weird.
It's bizarre to take this on. Just don't even mention it or even...
Why do you care?
Yeah.
What?
This isn't Brittany Griner getting caught with like a vape pen with half a gram of fucking cannabis in it.
This is a guy who seems to have committed just a whole lot of sex
and in some cases admitted to them. There's plenty of evidence.
This is not smoke with no fire. It seems like they had a pretty good case against them. I'm not saying the Romanian justice system is perfect, but it's, I mean, based on everything publicly available, it's like, and just knowing what these guys are like as people, you're like, yeah, sounds like something they would do. But okay, now America is like sticking its neck out for these fuckers.
And it's not really. People. It's not really. It seems to be just these Trump administration officials, because even Ron DeSantis was like, I don't fucking want them in my state. We get to it right now, but there's already a criminal investigation against them in Florida, and they're a part of that defamation. It's insane.
Raping around the world, these boys. Anyway, like we said, their return hasn't been as warmly received as they might have hoped. And Rolling Stone reports that the Tate bros are already under criminal investigation in Florida. Accused rapist and sex trafficker Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan are under criminal investigation in Florida, according to the state's Attorney General James Uthmeyer, after the pair arrived in Fort Lauderdale last week. These guys have themselves publicly admitted to participating in what very much appears to be soliciting, trafficking, preying upon women around the world, Uthmeyer told a reporter on Tuesday, noting that some of the Tate's accusers have been minors. People can spin it however they want, he said. In Florida, this type of behavior is viewed as atrocious, unless Matt Gaetz does it. Sorry, that was me. The two brothers then seemed to resume life as usual, on Tuesday releasing an installment of their Tate Confidential video series that depicted them relaxing around a pool at a luxury property. First day of freedom in Miami, Andrew Tate wrote in an X post where he shared the footage.
Less than an hour later, he was denouncing the Florida investigation. Absolute communism, he wrote in another post. I am super disappointed in the United States. This isn't the America I know. This is a sad, sad day for America, trying to find crimes on an innocent man.
Yeah, Florida, the Ron DeSantis administration in Florida, bunch of commies.
Yep.
Those guys.
Letitia James is after me, making a cryptic reference to the Attorney General of New York. James has not, as yet, announced any action against the Tates.
Yeah, wrong state. Buddy.
While the nature of Boothmeyer's criminal probe is not yet clear, the brothers are presently in a legal battle with an American woman who sued them in Palm Beach County, Florida last month. Identified as Jane Doe in court documents, she is alleged that the Tates attempted to pull her into a webcam sex trafficking scheme. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, seems like something they would do.
The brothers sued her for defamation in 2023 after she provided testimony to Romanian authorities. Boothmeyer was emphatic in his remarks Tuesday about going after the Tates. We're not going to accept it, he said of their alleged crimes. They chose to come here and set their feet down in this state, and we're going to pursue every tool we have within our legal authority to hold them accountable. If you are sought in Florida for doing fucked up shit to the point where they're like, get out of here. That is so bad.
Yeah, this is the state where famously Jeffrey Epstein was allowed by Pam Bondi, our current attorney general, to just do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Well, it's so... at this point, it's just so telling that when you think of every state in the country and you think of where possibly the Tate brothers could go.
Put yourself in the mind of a sex criminal, an international sex criminal.
Miami.
Which of the 50 U.S. states are you? Yeah, it's going to be fucking Florida. Yeah. Every time. It's going to be Florida every time, baby.
Ugh.
But speaking of hardcore criminals on the run, let's bring you up to speed on a story that sounds like it could be the plot of a straight-to-streaming sequel to the Point Break cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Maybe. A professional former Olympic snowboarder named Ryan Wedding has shot to the top of the FBI's most wanted list because he is accused of running a massive cocaine distribution organization that has dealt in obscenely large quantities being smuggled and alleged violence, including murder, happening in the ranks below him.
Yeah.
And yet, the FBI report gleefully noted the connection between snow powder and nose powder. Had to do it. Here's NBC News. A former Olympic snowboarder who has been accused of running a transnational drug trafficking operation that is also alleged to have killed 4 people is now on the FBI's list of 10 most wanted fugitives. Ryan Wedding, 43, was previously charged with running the drug smuggling operation, which the FBI said in a news release routinely shipped hundreds of kilograms of cocaine from Colombia through Mexico and Southern California into Canada and across other locations in the United States.
Wait, hold on. I thought it was illegal migrants that were doing this. Not Canadian snowboarders.
Yeah, well, let's send this Ryan Wedding back where he came from, Mexico.
Canada. We'll get to it, but he is back in Mexico now.
Oh. Yeah. The FBI has also accused Wedding of orchestrating a number of murders in relation to the drug smuggling scheme.
Wedding went from shredding powder on the slopes.
Here we go. Here it is.
At the Olympics to distributing powder cocaine on the streets of U.S. cities and in his native Canada. Said Agil Davis, the assistant director of the FBI's Los Angeles field office, who is probably worried about their job right now. Wedding represented Canada at the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. Authorities believe Wedding may be living in Mexico and said he should be considered armed and dangerous. In June, Wedding was charged in an indictment out of California with running a continuing criminal enterprise, murder, and conspiring to possess, distribute, and export cocaine. His second-in-command, Andrew Clark, was also charged, according to the FBI. A superseding indictment in September added an attempted murder charge for Wedding. Clark, who faces similar charges, was arrested in Mexico in October, the FBI said. According to the superseding indictment, Wedding, Clark, and a number of other people conspired to ship bulk quantities of cocaine using a Canada-based drug transportation network from around January to August 2024. The organization Wedding and Clark are accused of running resorted to violence, including multiple murders, to achieve its aims, the FBI said in its news release.
Damn. I just started reading that book, Dark Wire.
Yeah.
This and
it wasn't a dude who.
Yeah, so I'm interested if this is a recurring thing because the guy at the beginning of the book Dark Wire, which is about those cell phones that the FBI
the Phantom Secure
the cartel cell phones that the FBI got. Anyway, so the first character is this guy who was like an athlete in high school and college. and through that got into dealing steroids and performance-enhancing drugs to other athletes. From that, pivoted into like gambling, and from that, pivoted into hard drugs.
Once you get into the underbelly,
and it was like a very just like sort of fluid transformation.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if
in
it's
this guy's
similar
case,
here.
and with that guy in particular too. But when you see a picture of this fucking snowboarder, he is a monster. He is gigantic. And same thing with the football player. It's like you have that physical intimidation factor built in.
You're ready-made to be a goon.
And when your athletic career ends, and if you haven't done any kind of proper schooling or anything like, there's not too many options. So an easy one kind of opens itself up. It's crazy.
So yeah, this skier, this wedding dude, when he fled the States, he went down to Mexico and immediately became a high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel. What?
Yeah.
With the nickname El Jefe. I think he might have known the Sinaloa. He
was definitely working with them before. Yes.
Yeah, that's not something you just.
Hey, I'm the boss now.
I'm on the run. I deal drugs too. Mi casa, su casa. I don't know. Can I join the cartel?
I'll figure it out.
Can I get one of those gold guns?
Not only can you join us, your name's El Jefe.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so
I gotta say, for a Canadian snowboarder, I don't want to say impressive because this is horrible crimes and murder and everything like that.
Yeah.
But for a Canadian snowboarder who competed in the Olympics to become El Jefe of a cartel.
Well, this is what Trump's doing. He's bringing Canada and Mexico together in ways that are
they're reaching over the United States and
unforeseen consequences.
Yes,
This is Trump's fault. This is Trump's America.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty wild ride there. That story. I'm sure we'll get a book out of that.
Yeah.
But hey, you, are you hungry?
Yeah, who's hungry?
We have more news for you coming up in just a second. But first, we do have to thank today's sponsor for supporting the show, Factor. America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. This new year, you've got goals, and Factor's here to help you achieve each and every one of them. It's not really a new year anymore, but there's still like 9 months left. Save time and have the energy you need to tackle everything on your to-do list with Factor's ready-to-eat, nutritious meals delivered straight to your door. Get Factor and not only skip the trip to the grocery store, but skip the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy.
Spring is about to be sprung. The days are getting longer. You're going to be eating your Factors when it's light out. It's going to be crazy.
Right.
And no matter what your lifestyle, Factor has the meals to help you live it to the fullest with keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and protein plus meals on the menu each week. Prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, each meal has all the ingredients that you need to feel satisfied all day long. With 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options, there is always something new to try. Heck, today I had smoked Gouda chicken. Hello! I couldn't believe it wasn't smoked outdoors in the smoker all day.
Wow.
Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 36 sweets, smoothies, juices, and more satisfying add-ons. Looking to cut back on takeout? Get Factor instead. Not only is Factor cheaper than takeout, but meals are ready quicker than restaurant delivery. It's just 2 minutes. Eating vegan or veggie is also a snap with Factor.
Because each meal is prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, you know that your Factor meal has all the ingredients you want and nothing that you don't. And if you're looking to mix it up, you can add a protein to select vegan and veggie meals each week. We won't tell.
Don't tell people you're doing that.
Head to factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit.
Okay, back to the news now. And if you have spent any amount of time on social media, specifically in the past few days, you have probably noticed a massive influx of bizarre looking versions of Assistant to the Vice President, J.D. Vance.
What are you talking about? That's just what he looks like.
Yeah.
What does he actually look like? Because
nobody knows. He's got cheeks.
He's
like
got those plump, rosy cheeks. He's got those big old bug eyes. He's kind of got a sweaty sheen to him. That's the J.D. Vance I know. He's bald like an egg.
He's hiding so many cryptocurrencies in those cheeks for later.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it appears as though J.D. Vance has become the next evolution of Pepe the Frog, basically. That's all I can think about.
We went through the trauma of having Pepe turned into a Nazi. So this time we're taking someone who's already a Nazi and making him Pepe.
Yeah, we're turning him into a joyful experience.
Yeah, you can't milkshake duck this J.D. Vance. We already know. He sucks. We know. That's why it's funny.
Yeah, it's like Pepe the Frog, but instead it's embraced by the left instead of how Pepe was repurposed to fit the ideology of the alt-right white nationalists.
I think everyone, regardless of your beliefs, can enjoy
A JD Vance meme.
JD Vances. Every new one I see brings. I almost hurt myself at the gym today because I was between sets. I was doing some chest presses and I was looking at these JD Vance memes and I saw one that just killed me and I'm like, all right, the minute's up, time to go. And it was dangerous. Do not look at JD Vance memes at the gym.
Or while operating heavy machinery.
Don't do it.
There was the one where he has the curly hair and then someone made it 3D. Is just absolutely fucking incredible. So good. But yes, so far, the JD Vance memes haven't had the same reality-altering effects. But time can only tell. JD Vance is very online.
We're just getting started.
They are hilarious nonetheless. And you can rest assured that JD Vance has actually seen these.
Yeah.
And is probably very annoyed by them because he is habitually online.
Officially, though, not mad.
Yeah. Officially, he says he's not mad. And that was definitely
really funny, actually.
Yeah.
I am in on this joke.
Anyways, he is always online, especially on X, where he also does, of course, his banking, his takeout, and his laundry. Now, earlier this week, Vance actually replied to someone who was justifiably talking shit to him online, and apparently he assumed that guy's actual name was Jeff Computer.
Oh, wait. Allah Liker, Guns Muslim from the A-Lab podcast, Tarek. Oh, I love this guy's great.
So that led to widespread mockery for hours, and
the hell dude.
Yeah, the Jeff Computers account then changed its name again to JD Vance was a DEI admit to Yale Law.
I mean, that's he's a lawyer. They're both lawyers. This is a lawyer joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, the A-Lab podcast, great podcast because all of the hosts are actual working lawyers. So they release like one episode a year because they're all busy, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
They only put it out when they got the material, and you know it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, this interaction coupled with JD Vance's big boy chest puffing against Zelensky last week. Have you even said thank you?
Yeah, you gotta say thank you to the president.
Thank you to my daddy.
He was very nice to you.
Yeah. Plus, the existing constant babyface edits of Vance that have appeared online ever since he entered the national spotlight as Trump's pick for vice president. It all boiled over this week, and it resulted in an absolute flood of JD Vance memes and edits on a scale that is rapidly approaching Wojak levels of variation and spread. I even fired up Photoshop Day to make one of my own. And I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah,
I put his face on the Costco kid. He's holding a chicken bake.
I hope that the momentum doesn't slow down because within a week we are going to have thousands of different JD Vance.
It's so good, and you know the real heroes are the ones doing the actual face edits.
Yeah,
it's very easy to take one of the existing faces and just put it in a new scenario.
Well,
the people who are liquefying the face,
a lot of people are doing like Facetune and stuff. But yeah, it is. Like any good meme, it is taken and repurposed to an infinite degree, getting funnier and less referential to the original as it goes, which is what makes it even funnier. Because as we get to, at some point, people are going to go like, what does JD Vance look like?
Some of these, it is almost unrecognizable. Like, if you didn't have the, like, midpoint, if you hadn't seen the previous memes, if you were just seeing the latest ones, you would not have any way of knowing it was JD Vance. Your only reference is a previous meme.
There are literally so many edits of the vice president that one Twitter user correctly exclaimed, in 100 or 1,000 years' time, historians will be unable to say for certain what JD Vance actually looked like.
Was that one attached to the picture of him with long hair?
That's the only difference. It's like he has long hair and he's a little bit more of a defined jaw. He actually looks pretty attractive in that one, like as far as like a male.
Long hair at the State of the Union.
Now, writing for Gizmodo, Matthew Galt put on his hazmat suit. He took a deep dive into the world of Vance memes. And much like many of us did this week, he also created, or just, for his part, collected just dozens and dozens.
My favorite are the screenshots of people's camera rolls where it's just like people have like 100 of these saved on their phone.
I have so many of them. I've shared so many of them. It's incredible. So here's some of his reporting. Links to articles are always down in the description below.
Maybe you've seen them. There are new ones every day. The bearded vice president bloats, his eyes grow huge, he's a carnival grotesque, his chin widening, his shape contorting. Often he says, please.
It's the image, the one where he's leaning forward and his face is so round. And he's like, yeah, it's like
He's got the little spinner on his head.
There's the one where it's like the viewpoint, like from Zelensky, where he's leaning and he goes, "You didn't even say please to the president." God.
I'm obsessed with these pictures. I have dozens saved on my phone and hard drive. There's goth JD Vance with a giant lollipop. JD Vance as a dying Darth Vader. JD Vance as a nuclear explosion, and JD Vance as Chicken McNuggets. And the author concurs that JD has become a modern Pepe, and he says that clowning on the VP is an honored American tradition, adding that what's happening to Vance is no different, but it does seem more intense. I think the reason the memes are so popular and cut across partisan lines is that there is something uniquely alien and awful about Vance. The memes somehow reflect an essential truth about Vance. My favorite of the bunch so far is when the show's off My favorite of the bunch so far is one that shows off a group of the chubby caricatures. And yet a trace of the true self exists in the false self, the meme reads. This is the heart of it. I imagine the vice president's soul is putrid, a barren and vile thing. The memes show me a small fiction that speaks to a deeper truth.
Look, I don't care.
This all started because, like, I mean, when he was selected as Trump's VP, people who hadn't been paying attention were like, wait a second, that guy has a beard now? Because he used to not have a beard, and he used to have a very round, boyish face.
Very boyish, yeah.
So he's clearly he's trying to look a little more manly and mature.
Yeah, and before he was famous for the VP thing, he was the hillbilly elegy guy.
Yeah.
This
is why we need to ban. Like, I agree, we do need to ban books, because look what books got us. It got us JD Vance.
That's right. So we are going to use this space right now to show off some of our favorites that we've collected over the past few days. Enjoy. Maybe some, if there's enough, maybe I'll put some YouTube library music under it. Maybe I'll buy a song. Who knows?
Yeah.
Do you think they sell the Costco guys song?
Oh shit! If they're smart.
Yeah. So I'll start it off with that. Of course, the one that Elliot made where he gave him the Costco treatment.
I was gonna put him on the Rizzler, but I couldn't find like a clear photo of the Rizzler doing his Rizzler face.
Yeah.
And this one just called to me.
I took a one that was already made of him as a minion and turned it into like a rare Pepe collectible trading card. Oh, finally some joy in my life.
Yeah, I needed that.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to everyone online.
I mean, I don't know if that was good for my soul, but yeah, I'm gonna say it was.
It cheered me up a little bit.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. Anyway, finally today, we're gonna leave you with some good news. I mean, we already did do the good news with
this is just more good news.
But here's some more good news. First of all, people have actually started receiving our monitor buddies. Not me. Mine are still like 3 weeks away for some reason.
Yeah, I saw one posted though, so that counts for somebody.
People have proof of life. Santa Claus voice, they do exist.
Yeah.
Or Eminem voice. Anyway, they do exist, and people are posting photos. If you got yours, post some photos, share it on social media. If you haven't got shipping info yet, just hold tight. Things are clearly happening. People are starting to receive them. Be patient.
Thank you.
A lot of you got yours before we got ours.
Yes. I don't have mine, but I have the one that they gave us months ago.
The prototype.
Yeah.
But in addition to that news down here on Earth, something else is happening this week, and it really didn't even seem to register in the national consciousness, folks. We have landed on the moon.
We landed on the moon!
It happened.
We did it twice, actually, this week.
Damn.
Yeah. And by me, I mean private companies.
Listen, we've already been there. It was a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was private companies, and yeah, one of the two landers might have actually fallen over after making contact with the south side of the moon's surface. But hey, it's still pretty cool that we're going back there in some capacity, leaving a little bit more trash on the moon's surface to let them know that we were there.
While also acknowledging that finances and resources could obviously be better utilized here on Earth. But it's space, and that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I even like when Elon's rockets blow up.
I don't.
Well, I mean, not because of the environmental impacts and everything else. Sorry, I grew up in Florida and went to fucking Cape Canaveral all the time. Just a space kid, I guess. So it is cool.
Anyway, with more on these two moon landings in 2025, here's the Associated Press.
A privately owned lunar lander touched down on the moon with a drill, drone, and rovers for NASA and other customers Thursday, but quickly ran into trouble and may have fallen over. Like one of those Boston Dynamics dogs being kicked over.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Intuitive Machines said it was uncertain whether its Athena lander was upright near the moon's south pole, standing 15 feet tall, or lying sideways like its first spacecraft from a year ago. Controllers rushed to turn off some of the lander's equipment to conserve power while trying to determine what went wrong. It was the second moon landing this week by a Texas company under NASA's Commercial Lunar Delivery Program. Sunday's touchdown was a complete success. Intuitive Machines' newest Athena lander dropped out of lunar orbit as planned. The hour-long descent appeared to go well until the final approach, when the laser navigation system began acting up. It took a while for mission control to confirm touchdown.
They've had 2 landers fall on their sides. Like, the fucking BattleBots people solved this shit 20 years ago.
Yeah.
BattleBot gets knocked over.
Yeah, you put a lever to knock it
it goes
over.
bloop.
Yeah.
Back on its feet.
Hire the BattleBots.
Yeah, we need to send a BattleBot to the moon.
We need to start fighting Beyblade style on the moon, too.
Yeah. Hours after the landing, Intuitive Machines CEO Steve Altemus said there was conflicting data about how Athena landed and whether it was on its side. The lander was near the intended target site, but a sweep by NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter in the coming days will confirm its position and orientation, he said. On Sunday, Firefly Aerospace became the first private entity to achieve complete success with its Blue Ghost lunar lander on the northeastern edge of the near side of the moon. A vacuum already has collected lunar dirt for analysis, and a dust shield has shaken off the abrasive particles that cling to everything.
This week's back-to-back moon landings are part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Delivery Program meant to get the space agency's experiments to the gray, dusty surface and jumpstart business. The commercial landers are also seen as scouts for the astronauts who will follow later this decade under NASA's Artemis program, the successor to Apollo, which I would say probably in jeopardy. It's going to end up being a SpaceX thing because Trump's in office.
Yeah, I wouldn't...
and Elon's rockets keep going boom. I don't know.
I wouldn't set aside plans.
Yeah. Still, I love space stuff. And I just finished that book, Challengers. I mean, obviously, about more things going through.
Challengers, love that movie. Yeah.
No, Challenger.
Love the tennis, Zendaya, she's so hot.
Challengers, tragedy and heroism at the edge of space. Anyways, great book about the failings of the space shuttle program. Still, I like space stuff.
So you like when rockets blow up, is what you're saying?
Well, you know, years later, I like reading all of the history about it.
You like it when women astronauts plunge into the sea.
It's very tragic.
Die.
Obviously very tragic. But a great book.
Rockets that survive, rockets that don't. Doesn't matter to me, Ricky. I just love rockets. Whatever they do. Good ones, bad ones, deadly ones. I just love them all.
Oh, those big flames.
I didn't die. I got to see a nice big boom.
I have wanted to go up to Vandenberg and watch one. Anyways, one day I'd like to see them do the landing.
Yeah, well, they gotta not blow it up one of these times.
It is odd that like they're doing the astronaut quote unquote rescue mission and then like it's like a rocket blew up a second ago. Anyways, we'll have you back here in no time. I know it's not the same exact missions, but yeah, it's just a little weird. Anyways, please like the video. We really, really, really love it when you like the video. Click the like button.
Daddy like
it. Please. You didn't even
like the video.
You didn't even like the video. Leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, do it for JD.
Leave a thanks. Leave a tip. It's swinging around. Leave a tip. Click the join button and please, our other videos are popping up right now. Watch those. We will be back very soon for Weekly Weird News. In the meantime, though, go make some JD Vance memes and post about them in the comments. Bye.
Bye.
Maintain current posture. Listen, Bravo.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? Daddies are stronger than mommies. Oh my God, you spit on them. To all of you and to all of yours.
Happy Friday.
We'll be right back.
You're an actor, you're looking for work,
Give the guy a break, he's doing his
you're an
best.
agent, or somebody calls you and says,
Right.
we'd like you to play Jesus. What's that like?
God bless you.
We'd like you to play Jesus.
What's that like? It was an answered prayer.
Right, because Jesus.
That's on YouTube. You're terrible. You're a moron.
Tucker in the wild, being on TV, wearing jackets, wearing shirts. Tucker
You're a moron.
This is the news anchor, Tucker Carlson. He's been doing some interesting interviews. Not this one. Not this one, though.
This is just some guy who played Jesus in a movie.
Some people would feel like that's a pretty heavy role.
Praise God.
Jesus, yeah. Basis
Right.
of the world's largest religion. Yeah. God himself, according to Christians.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that on you? Like, that's a lot. In the first season, I did.
Yeah, in the first season I did, and then it actually got kind of boring. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? I pitched some ideas. What if Jesus robbed the bank? You know, if I was pitching all these ideas, they told me to shut up. This has 500,000 views in one day, and I don't really know what the point of this interview is. It's basically a guy who looks like Jesus. It's just Tucker Carlson over and over again going, what's that like? What's that like? Why do we do this? Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Why do you look like that? Why do you look like that?
So, where are you?
He's in jail, man.
I'm in MDC Brooklyn, in a little side room.
Okay. How long have you been there?
I
haven't seen Tucker Carlson in a while. He's still doing that face. I forgot about this face that this guy does. He has what would we call this?
What the hell is it called? Resting
Perplexed face.
You know,
What's it like?
Jail.
it's sort of dystopian.
Right, like
You know, the fortunate thing, the place I'm in, I'm not in physical danger.
This is the FTX guy. Sammy, what the hell is the guy's name? Oh, Sammy Bankman-Fried. Sammy the Bankman, people call him. Sammy the Bankman Napolitano. Oh!
Yeah, I mean, I've known, on the flip side, a number of extremely stupid people who've gotten rich in finance. They clearly have a kind of brilliance that I can't see.
Give him a break,
They seem like morons to me.
I'm interested in what types there are. I was on Wall Street in a former life, and there are a variety of people there.
So there's been a lot of talk about changes to the U.S. tax code, especially changes that affect cryptocurrency investing.
Right.
What are those changes? Well, what if there was already a way to invest in the market with tax advantages? Well, I trust...
Sounded kind of weird. Yeah, a little bit of an oddly timed ad there. Hey, I'm zooming with this guy who's in jail for a giant crypto scam. Hey, speaking of crypto, get involved with that.
Without getting into like all the details of your case.
Yeah, speed it up, man.
It does seem like you guys made a decision at your company to form political alliances through political donations, which is not singling you out. You're hardly the only businessman who's done that. It's actually kind of par now. But you gave so much to Democrats that I kind of thought they would rescue you in the end. Where were all your friends in the Democratic Party? They usually keep their friends from going to jail. Tony Podesta never went to jail. Why did you?
You know, in 2020, I was center left, and I gave to Biden's campaign.
Right.
I was optimistic he'd be a sort of solid center left president. By late 2022, I was giving to Republicans privately as much as Democrats.
You know, you've given so much money to the Democratic Party that I think it's pretty, leaving aside moral judgment here, but it's pretty normal in business for the donor to call the person he's donating to and saying, hey, I'm in trouble, can you help me?
Yeah, call him up.
Did you call Schumer or any of the people you had supported and say, you know, hey, I need your help?
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. This is a pretty wacky interview because Tucker Carlson doesn't seem to know anything about this case. Tucker Carlson couldn't be bothered. He was too busy wandering around in a forest or whatever the hell he does. He was too busy wandering around REI or whatever the hell he does all day. Who knows? Who cares? Tucker Carlson all up in that REI like.
Praise God.
Tucker Carlson all up in REI like.
God bless you.
But I watched the whole like 45 minutes of this, and I could kind of tell Tucker Carlson doesn't know what the hell's going on. But you can kind of see what you can already kind of spot what he's doing here. We'll come back to it, but that guy CoffeeZilla did a video on this. Let's see this.
Welcome to one of the most disgusting podcasts I've ever seen.
Whoa, hey man, that's a little bit harsh. Take it down a little bit, man. Hey man, she spit on him. On that one, take it back or you get one of these.
And the guy interviewing him doesn't really care about any of the details of the case. Instead, he's focused on a very strange line of questioning, which is, hey, you donated money to Democrats. Why didn't you get more corruption? But this is the interview. It's by Tucker Carlson, Sam Bankman-Fried on life in prison with Diddy, and how Democrats stole his money and betrayed him. And you will find the premise is basically that, hey, you gave them money. Why didn't they do the corruption? Which is just...
Okay, I really like CoffeeZilla, but I don't think this is exactly what's going on in this video. There's even a part where Tucker Carlson's like, I think all this stuff's a scam, probably. I think this stuff's up, probably some crap. That's why I live in the woods and I wear my crisp REI jacket.
Wow.
Tucker Carlson does say stuff like that in here. Like, I think this stuff's a scam, despite doing like a crypto platform ad. So, you know, whatever.
You do you, Tucker Carlson, I say.
But you can see there's that part where Tucker Carlson's like, man, you gave all these money to Democrats, so are they going to help you out? And then Sammy Bankston is like, I gave money to everybody, actually. And then Tucker Carlson comes back minutes later. He's like, so you gave all that money to those Democrats. Tucker Carlson creates content for Republicans. So instead of just telling the truth, like, yeah, both of these parties are corrupt. But these are two institutionally corrupt parties. Political parties, or whatever the hell they call themselves. You know, crypto people are both giving them a bunch of money to try to deregulate crypto. Tucker Carlson is like, Republicans would never do that. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Mark Andreessen, and all these guys who want to deregulate crypto, they would never do that. That's what's really going on. Tucker Carlson is just like, you know, pandering to his audience.
Being as honest as you can, do you think you were the biggest criminal in the crypto business?
Give the guy a break.
I don't think I was a criminal. So certainly the answer is no. I mean, I think the DOJ thinks that I may have been, but I don't share their view.
Well, yeah, you're in jail. They definitely, that's their claim anyway.
Yeah, this is kind of a wacky, funny interview because Tucker Carlson kind of gives away here that he doesn't know anything about this. Because there, you know, the guy's like, I don't think I did anything wrong, actually. This is where Tucker Carlson could be like, well, you know, a bunch of people gave you money and you were using that money that you're supposed to keep in this stupid little bank or whatever. You're just kind of using that for your own crap. That's not allowed, or whatever. That's where you kind of bring up some of the details, but Tucker Carlson, he was busy building a fort in his backyard or whatever the hell he does all day. What I would probably ask this guy is like, hey, you know you're allowed to do crypto scams? You know, we allow all manner of crypto scams. The president does them.
The president of the United States, he does one.
You're allowed to do crypto scams. Why'd you do such a big dumb one? Why'd you do such a big crazy one? You can do them. Just not like that. Why'd you do it like that?
I've certainly criticized your business and other businesses like it in the past, and again, I'm not even getting into the details of your case because it's like Byzantine.
It's rather pedantic. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, like, do you think there's a lot of shady behavior in the crypto business?
Absolutely not.
I'm being honest.
No way.
Yeah, 10 years ago, the answer was clearly yes. Or at least yes, relative to the scale of the industry. Right. You know, you look at the mid, 2014 to 2017 sort of era, and there is, the industry is a lot smaller than it was today.
Okay, brush that hair.
And a lot of the transactions that you saw, or at least a higher fraction of them, were, well, different people use different words for it, but Silk Road, you know, as an example, right? People purchasing narcotics online was a common use of crypto back 10 years ago or so.
Right.
Obviously, there are always going to be criminals in any industry, but over time, the fraction of the industry that represents has fallen off really substantially. Both because of sort of growth of areas of interest in crypto, and also because of more government involvement on the anti-money laundering side.
This is a really funny part. This is probably the best part of the interview because Tucker Carlson's like, well, it seems kind of scammy, the whole crypto thing. Seems like there's a lot of scams. The rug pulls and all this stuff. Oh, the president I did one of those. Oh, the president of Argentina, who I probably also like, he did one of those. He did one of those too. You know, I don't know, maybe some crypto thing will be useful one day, but right now it's just the land of scams. And this guy's answer is kind of great. He's like, well, you know, it's not really like that anymore. It's not scam anymore. People used to buy drugs. What? People used to buy drugs with it. They don't really do that anymore. So I think it's fine. That is a great answer. That is a great answer. Tucker Carlson has no real follow-up to this. The follow-up should be, Sam, you know that's not what I was asking. God damn you to hell, Sam, you little prisoner, you. You know that's not what I was asking. What's with all the rug pulls and the flim-flams and all this? And, and the thing you did. What's up with that? That's what I was asking. Now, answer again.
So you were famously identified with a worldview and ideology, maybe even a religion called effective altruism. And the
Okay,
idea-
we're moving on. Okay. Effective, what the hell is this goddamn stupid thing called? Effective altruism. Ooh, I do that. I'll try some right now. Hey, you all right? What's wrong? That's pretty good.
It was that, as I understand it, that you do the greatest good for the greatest number. You make money in order to help the maximum number of people.
Right.
And some have pointed out the irony that in the collapse of your company, like 1 million people lost their money. So there were a lot of individuals
that's a good
hurt
question.
in an effort that you described as like the greatest good for the greatest number. And I wonder if all of this has made you rethink the precepts of effective altruism.
It hasn't made me rethink the precepts. Obviously, I feel terrible about what happened. It's not at all what I intended. And
Okay, Tucker Carlstone takes this in a kind of funny direction. Go ahead.
I guess what I'm saying is, I think it's hard for most people to understand the idea that it's more virtuous or valuable to help people they've never met than it is to help the people right in front of them. In other words, like, it's way more virtuous to help your wife, girlfriend, mother, daughter, brother, college roommate than it is to help, like, a village in a country you've never visited. I think that's how most people feel intuitively.
That's
It's like
It's a great point, Tucker. I love this. The most interview-prepared person in the world, Tucker Carlson, he takes this in a great direction. Instead of just being like, hey, this whole effective altruism that a lot of these Silicon Valley guys blab on about, nonsense. Instead of just rationalizing scams to get rich through this, kind of phony baloney belief system, why don't you just help your family? Like, Tucker Carlson's problem isn't that the effective altruism thing is a lie. Tucker Carlson's issue is, like, trying to help lots of people. Doesn't this kind of prove the idea that helping lots of people is actually bad? That's what I think from this. My name's Tucker Carlson. I'm a woodsman, also. I'm a cabinsman. What do you think about that? Go ahead, answer that one. I don't think that's a question, Tucker. No, yeah, it is, man.
Well, see, I think you're sort of making a counter case. You're arguing against your own position. Isn't it?
Give the guy a break.
I guess the problem I have with effective altruism is just too easy. It's like, it's easy to cure polio. It's really hard to make the same woman happy for 30 years.
Okay. All right. Why are there firefighters? What about this? Why are there firefighters? That's easy. Why don't those guys take their wives out to dinner? That's hard. Yeah, Tucker, I don't think I understand that question either. No? Yeah, you do. Answer it. What are you doing? Answer the question. Oh, there we go. A beautiful video. Friday.
Oh my God.
Huh? Hope you guys have a great weekend filled with, awash with, and absolutely covered with. Who amongst us wants the weekend to end?
Nobody.
Love you guys. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, hey, how you doing? How are you? Hey, I don't want to make a whole thing out of this. I don't want to make a federal case out of this, but you're missing episodes. Actually, I do want to make a federal case out of this. I am going to take this to the court system, to the judicial system, I believe it's called. And what the hell was that guy? Oh yeah, subscribe on Patreon. Subscribe on Patreon because you're missing episodes every week. And that's inappropriate. That's highly inappropriate, okay? You're doing a crime, I would say. It's criminal. So, subscribe on Patreon. The link, I can't speak. The link is in the description. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great night. Bye.
We can. Who is the time for crypto scams? We can. The weekend, don't tell me I can't. We can. Who is the time for finance scams? We can. The weekend, don't tell me I can't. We can.
The weekend is the time for crypto scams. Don't tell me I can't. The weekend is the time for financial scams. Don't tell me I can't.
Videos aren't real.
Gentlemen, I don't want to fight unless it's the People's Army. I don't think British people should be fighting overseas. I think it's only going to fuel the conflict, and also in a current economic climate when the current Labour government are talking about cuts, reintroducing austerity. They've already cut winter fuel allowance for all people. I think this is just a misallocation of economic resources.
If you were drafted, would you fight for this country?
No, I've got bad knee. Oh, absolutely not. I'm not fighting. I've got asthma. I'd cower out somehow. No, I wouldn't fight. I'm not frontline.
Would, but I'd like to be like on the online team.
I'm not built for it. I'd crumble after a couple. So, got no chance. No point drafting me. I'd just be losing. Go on, man. You're on that next year. That's something I go to war with.
When you hear the word conscription in the UK, I guess you immediately think of the First World War. There is some element of the Second World War, but because the way we see that war is like a fight between good versus evil, we just think everyone just signed up voluntarily and they wanted to go fight to stop Germany. With World War I, we have, of course, Lord Kitchener on that poster, and we just think about, you know, all these people joining up with their villages and towns and going overseas to France and Belgium to fight for the glory of the British Empire. Now, of course, while loads of people volunteered, conscription saw that loads of people were forced into service. And what happened in World War I is 800,000 British men and women died fighting in the service of empire, died fighting to expand British territory in the Middle East, died fighting to expand and defend British colonies in Africa, and died fighting to contain the German and Austrian empires in Central Europe. Now, as Lenin pointed out at the time, and many socialists, this was just a war for empire. And this has been true of nearly every single war since. The elite in most countries ask the young men and women to go fight and die for empire. One exception you might count is the Second World War, and I actually had relatives from Ireland who died fighting in the Second World War who joined the British Army, and they joined for ideological reasons because they wanted to fight the Germans. But even with the Second World War, you can still view that as a scramble for territory, power, capital, and colonies by the various warring states in Europe and Asia. And if you take it to the Asian context, it makes a lot more sense, where America, Britain, and France and China fought the Japanese Empire. And in the case of the Western powers, this was purely for Western imperialism. Britain was defending territory from the Japanese that it had stolen from native populations in Asia, right? And even though World War I is the small blip where you can see the good intent of people to sign up to actually fight something horrific like Nazi Germany, as most people come to understand, most wars are not fought for the benefit of your everyday person. And when those wars are actually fought for systems that subjugate us as well, it becomes increasingly clear that no one should sign up to fight these wars. Now, often you can understand why conscription might be necessary or why people will join the military. You have Ukraine right now being invaded by Russia, and people want to protect their home. People want to protect their towns and cities, so they will sign up. But also throughout the conflict, we've seen some pretty horrific things of people being forced into military service while they're trying to flee from the conflict. And a lot of people would call these people cowards, saying, why don't you stay behind and fight for your country? But to a lot of us, what does a country even mean? The state does not provide for us. We don't have any loyalty to this construct. And in many cases, it actually might make our lives worse. So even if we take the drastic situation of a country being invaded by another country, there's still many of us who wouldn't want to fight. So I'm going to expand on this later in the video. But if Russia invaded England tomorrow, I would not join the British military. And I wouldn't fight. I would try and flee, probably to Ireland, but I would go to anywhere. I do not want to die for a country that does nothing for me. I do not want to protect a country that does nothing for me. And if we all sign up, we fight for England, we defend ourselves from Russia, will the country reward everyone by making it a country that works for everyone? No, nothing's going to change. So why would I die for that? Why would I die for that idea? I can totally understand dying for the idea of some great country, some great society, but that does not exist in most countries in the world. If you ask us to fight and die for a country that is actively hostile to making us have a better life, we're not going to want to do it anymore. And I would go as far to say, I would rather fight the British government than fight the Russian government, because one country is making my life worse
and it's not the Russian government at this moment. An MI5 agent watching this video, I know you feel the same way. So what I want to talk about today, forced conscription coming back to the UK, and everyone talking about how we're going to have war with Russia or something like that, and loads of people in the UK saying, yeah, I wouldn't fight Russia, which they shouldn't, because what that would amount to is two imperialist powers sending young men to fight each other over what? Essentially the whims of a 1% in both countries who are having disputes over territory or resources. And we should all recognise, no matter what country we're from, we are the victims of these governments, and our attention should be focused on reforming and getting rid of governments that oppress us, not killing each other to move national borders or to make oil companies rich. So all of that coming up for you today. Please like the video. Follow me on social media at The Cavernacle on Instagram, on my gaming Instagram at The Gamernacle. And if you want to support my channel, check out my Patreon page and check me out on YouTube memberships. So in today's video, I'm very much talking about the context of the UK, but it could apply to any nation that either has some form of national service or is banging on about how they're going to bring it back. But I want to say to people as well, if you have experience in the military or if you've actually had to do national service in the country you're from, let me know what you think about all of this as well. And also, depending on what country you are, tell me about why you wouldn't join the military and why you wouldn't fight for your own country, even if it was invaded by another country. I've just been reading a lot of stuff recently. There's been a lot of saber rattling by Keir Starmer saying, I'm going to put troops in Ukraine. Disappointingly, there's also something I saw where Ireland was talking about collabing with the UK as peacekeeping forces in Ukraine, which I find insane because, yeah, Ireland should be doing that. The UK shouldn't be doing that, and Ireland shouldn't be collabing with the UK to do that, considering the UK still occupies a part of Ireland. But I just read this on The Big Issue by Greg Barradale. UK will be at war by the next election, says ex-Army Lib Dem MP, and will need conscription. I've been sitting in private committee briefings with senior officials, and they say there's a good chance we'll be at war before the next election. I think that's right. That's my view, Mike Martin, the Liberal Democrat MP for Turnbridge Wells, said. There's certainly more than a 50% chance we'll be at war before 2030. Obviously, if we got into a big war, we'd have conscription straight away. Would we need to conscript? Yeah, we would, because ultimately, we're not at a stage where you can replace people with drones. We're a long way off from that. Drones are fine as far as they go, but you still need people to occupy villages, hold ground, and all the rest of it, and that's not going to change for quite some time. Traditionally, when humans have moved from one period of order to another, they've had a big war in the middle, because they've reset and redrawn that, okay, now we're organising ourselves like this. The question is, can we transition from one consensus to another without going for a massive war or a bigger war than all the wars we're seeing at the moment? Yeah, I don't really take this guy too seriously, to be honest. I don't take many people seriously who bang on about, like, huge conflicts in Europe between, like, nuclear powers. It's just not going to happen. And if you have any notion of history, you know at various different times during the Cold War between the Soviet Union and Western Europe was far more likely and didn't happen. And that is before these nuclear stockpiles got absolutely out of control, right? So I don't fear these kinds of conflicts happening in like massive, like, and hundreds of thousands of British people being forced into service to fight Russia. That's just not the way the world works anymore. And it's not the way the world worked in the Cold War. And also what we're seeing since Iraq and Afghanistan, most Western countries have no desire to get into these massive wars because in terms of politics and in a liberal democracy, it's basically a political death sentence. Like, if you do this, people are just not going to sign up for the war for one thing, but they're going to vote you out or probably overthrow the government if this happens again. Britain's former top NATO commander, time to think the unthinkable and consider conscription. Given the current global situation and defence funding cuts since the end of the Cold War, I think we need to get over many of the cultural hang-ups and assumptions and frankly think the unthinkable. I think we're going to need to go further and look carefully at conscription. So someone else, General Patrick Sanders, has warned members of the British public they may have to be called up to fight in the event of a war because the military is too small. British citizens should be trained and equipped to fight in a potential war with Russia, as Moscow plans on defeating our system and way of life, which is just so funny to me. So he says the war in Ukraine is not merely about the black soil of Donbass, nor the re-establishment of a Russian empire. It's about defeating our system and our way of life, politically, psychologically, and symbolically. How we respond as the pre-war generation will reverberate through history. Ukrainian bravery is buying time for now. So, yeah, if you're, like, listening to these military commanders and thinking, what a load of shit, yeah, you'd be right. Like, I don't even understand where this notion comes from that we're actually going to have a full-scale war with Russia. And if you're going to rely on conscript soldiers from the UK, Like, you're not going to beat them. You're not going to beat them because now Russia not only has a far superior army to the UK, I'm talking about just like the ground forces, it now has some of the best combat experience in the whole world. The two armies that are most equipped now to fight a conventional war are Ukraine and Russia. So you want people like myself to join the armed forces and go into battle with people who have years of experience fighting an actual conventional war. Like, there's no training you could give me that would prepare me and put me on equal footing with a Russian veteran at this point, right? And even then, if you're talking about like new Russian conscripts, they then have people who fought in these conflicts, the same with Ukraine, who can teach them how to fight from personal experience, where we don't even have that in the UK. But even beyond that, it is just a fantasy. Like, if there is a major conflict between NATO and Russia, or America and China, that is pretty much it for our way of life, because the devastation will be so insane, the effect to the global economy will be so insane. A lot of these people are just so brainwashed by World War I and World War II. They think the world still works like that. We are so globally connected now. Like, everything is so connected. We can't fight these massive wars without essentially just destroying the way society operates right now, which will have just untold suffering to millions around the world. Like, it will destroy the supply chains. Like, if you think about, let's say, pharmaceuticals, do most of you know where most of the pharmaceutical ingredients come from? They mostly come from China, and they also come from India, right? So you want to have a war with a country like China, and what? Have no ability to produce pharmaceuticals anymore? Like I'm saying, there's just no way this is happening. It's the same as the Cold War. It's just going to be proxy battles. And I love how they're saying, like, Ukraine is like a line in the sand for our way of life, and Russia is evil and so different to us. Russia is the fucking same. I literally just made a video about how the US is turning into Russia. The Russian oligarchs used to be so tied up with the British state. We put these people in power. It's capitalism. The enemy is capitalism. I think most people realize our enemies are the capitalists. They're not each other. I don't have a problem with a Russian citizen. I don't want to have a war with the Chinese people. Why would I want to go kill people who have the exact same problems as me, have the exact same worries as me, suffer in the same ways as me, because some rich person told me to do it? And that is what happened in World War I. So take World War I as a reference point of why you should never want to join the armed forces to fight another country. Obviously, I'm going to elaborate a bit more on that in a sec, but I've got a couple good videos where Politics Joe asked the British public why they wouldn't fight. I want to start off with a bit of a funny one, just like people saying why they wouldn't join the army based on their own like personal health issues. Just like the woke Gen Z generation, I guess, who are just wusses. I will make one point though. I do love how the one person in this video who is for conscription is way too old to ever be conscripted and was never conscripted in his younger years. So let's listen to this.
If you were drafted, would you fight for this country?
No, I've got a bad knee.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm not fighting. I've got asthma.
I'd cow it out somehow.
No, I wouldn't fight on the front line.
I would probably try to avoid that if I could.
I would, but I'd like to be like on the online team.
I'm not built for it. I'd crumble after a couple of days.
I think I would crumble. My mental stability is not strong enough to be on the front lines.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight them on the beaches, but maybe the forums.
If it's in defence of the country, yes. If it's in defence of the political system, yes. I would imagine if anything did occur, there'd be enough people volunteer.
I don't think it's our job to do it. I wasn't put on this earth to go to war.
Conscription is a long established practice in this country.
They batter me, so
got no
chance.
This is coming from the old guy who has no
fucking
worries about
you don't want that next year. That's not something you want to go to war with.
Obviously,
there's a lot of people who do feel it's
You're sending kids to die.
But I'm not that person. I don't know. I'd probably say I've got an allergy or something. Allergy to bullets or gunpowder or something like that.
Allergy to bullet. I think everyone's got that, to be fair.
Woke Gen Z won't die for British imperialism. Oh my God, the country's going to shit. So like I said, yeah, I like the older guys, the younger guys, like, yeah, we should fight to preserve the political system and the nation. And all the young people like, yeah, I got a bad knee. But that is valid in my opinion. Like, I have a friend who's in the British Army for like 8 years, and he just talks about all his physical problems, right? And I've been talking about recently, like, I've messed my back up playing football. And I actually went to the physio on Monday, and they said you could potentially have an autoimmune disease because some of my uncles have one as well, and they talk about how I'm just not healing properly. And I'm like, yeah, I can't fight a war. I can't fight a war because all this stuff you would have to do in combat or even in training, I would like cripple myself. And what would happen is so many of us, especially I talked to my physio, she was saying like so many young people having back problems from just the way we live our lives, and like most people working in offices and stuff like that. this would happen to so many people. We'd just be written off. Like, we couldn't actually fight. We wouldn't be like able to pass the physical, which I think is like perfectly valid. But it is like a more funny excuse. Like, all these people are just gonna say, yeah, like I got a bad knee, so I can't fight in a war. But now, like, moving on a tiny bit from that to something more serious, there was another one where they were talking about this. And this is a sentiment you're going to see a lot in the UK, right? So just to educate Americans a little bit, obviously in the UK, we do not have a cult around the British military. Like, no one's going to thank you for your service. No one is going to, like, really praise you for joining. But there is a certain level of respect the military have. This is probably, like, common in like, a few countries. Mainly because of the propaganda around World War I and World War II, because we're seen as, like, the little brother of the US. Even with things like Iraq and Afghanistan, people seem like they don't get as angry that we fought in these wars for no reason. I think because the casualties were a lot lower on our side than the United States, especially I think in Afghanistan. So it is a weird one. Personally, my opinion on the British military is a negative one. Obviously, as a small island nation, I understand the need for a military, but I've always said if I became a dictator of the UK, I would reorganise it into like a self-defence force and not have it as like this imperialist power which has bases all over the world, and obviously helped Israel out with Gaza recently as well. So the British military is, in my opinion, evil. I also understand it is small and pretty shit compared to most of like the major powers militaries, and I can understand us needing a professional military to some extent. But if they want to talk about how the army needs funding and everything like that, like, scale back your operations to focus on actual defense of the UK and not loads of overseas ventures and stuff. And anyway, people don't particularly like soldiers, but people don't hate soldiers. It's not like the police or something. But in that context, here is people disagreeing with joining the army for conscription or whatever for political reasons.
Gentleman, I don't want to fight.
I will serve crack before I serve my country.
Fuck the army. Fuck all those that are in it.
Is there anything that could happen that would make you consider enlisting in the army?
No. Unless it's the People's Army. I don't think British people should be fighting overseas. I think it's only going to fuel the conflict. And also, in a current economic climate, when the current Labour government are talking about cuts, in reintroducing austerity, they've already cut winter fuel allowance for all people. I think this is just a misallocation of economic resources. And we should be really looking to tax the rich and fund our public services further in this country rather than the drive to continuous war.
The US government are saying that Starmer should spend $80 billion of the UK's money on defence. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think I think we should resist pressure from a Trump administration that is continually taking an aggressive stance on the international platform. And I don't think it's up for the Trump government to dictate how British taxpayers' money is spent.
So you wouldn't be enlisting to go and fight in Ukraine?
Absolutely not, no.
So I think that's much more reflective of the young people's view of joining the British military, if it was conscription or just joining generally, is the British state has been fucking us over for the last 15 years, and that includes the current Labour government, doesn't look after its citizens, it has consistently made the country worse. There is nothing to fight for. There is nothing to be proud about, and there's no guarantee that once you've done your fighting, you'll come home with your PTSD and your physical injuries, and the state will actually look after you properly. This country has seriously just gone to shit since Margaret Thatcher, but also that's continued significantly since the Tory government of 2010 and the Labour government now. So there's just no incentive to fight. There's no incentive to be proud of this country. There's no incentive to give your life to protect something, because if you die fighting for this country, what did you die for? Well, like, what did you actually die for? All those people who died in Afghanistan and Iraq, what did they die for? Imperialism, oil. They didn't die for anything in regards to the UK. And if you go to war and die fighting Russia or something like that, what did you die for? You can convince yourselves, yeah, we're protecting European freedom, but I saw a picture on the European subreddit the other day. It was like the leaders of the free world. And it had all like the EU leaders. A couple of these people are actual Nazis. So I'm dying to protect Nazis. I'm dying to protect, like, Meloni in Italy. I'm dying to protect all these terrible European leaders because apparently our way of life is so different to Russia. Why is it so different to Russia? Can someone explain to me, how is our way of life so different to the average Russian? How is my life so different to the average Russian? I need to go kill him to what? Preserve the oligarchy of the European Union? It's just two oligarchies who have problems with each other. That's what we're seeing more and more as wealth inequality gets so bad, and all the social programs that people used to enjoy in post-war countries is being slashed to the bone. People have no incentive. Now, that is on the economic front, and I'll go into like maybe the identity side before we start talking about people who don't even feel welcome in the UK anymore. So I definitely, 100%, if I got some sort of conscription paper to fight in any war from the UK government, I would refuse. Like I said, I would try and flee to Ireland, but at the same time, if I couldn't do that, I would just go to prison. I'd rather go to prison than fight for this country. And also, if Russia actually directly invaded the UK, I would also try and flee to Ireland, and I wouldn't fight as well. So on the like economic side, I've gone over it a lot, saying how this country doesn't do anything for us, there's no hope. And my problem in life is with the British government. They are responsible for all our problems, and none of them are going to make it better. None of these mainstream political parties want to make our life better. They're just about enriching the 1%, and that includes the current Labour government, or just doing terrible crimes overseas, like the current Labour government with Gaza, or the previous Tory government with Gaza, with Labour's support. We don't have any loyalty to these people because they do not want to make this country better. Now, if, let's say, there was a communist revolution, and there was threats from, like, I don't know, America invading us, would I sign up to fight or serve in the military in some capacity? That's a completely different conversation. If we are building something, if I'm confident that my sacrifice in the service of this country will build something new and good that will help everyone, I would do that. Now, like I said, with my physical ailments, might not be able to be on the front line, but I definitely work for the communist Republic of England's military to help us survive the American invasion or something, right? That's what I would do. And like I've been saying, my problems are with the British government. They're not with your everyday Russian or even the Russian government. Like, if I had to put a list of, like, you know, who's responsible for my problems, the British government would be at the top of them. And also, let's go into the identity side. So my relatives were Irish Republicans. One of them was pretty famous, fought the British government and was executed by the British government. This was actually during World War I, where he helped lead the Easter Rising against the British, and Britain are still occupying Ireland. Now, growing up ethnically Irish, because that's what I am, like my whole family is Irish, going back generations and generations. I'm born in England, and obviously I'm white as well. And growing up in England with that is a bit weird because you're kind of basically told that you just want to be English, right? You don't want to be Irish. And I guess that kind of worked for me growing up, is that the way you talk about Irish history, the way you talk about English history, like how great we were as the English country, how kind of bad Ireland were, like backwater, couldn't stand up for itself, and then the way the whole conflict with England is framed is often like Irish people like really evil, like terrorists and stuff. It makes you like subconsciously not want to identify with the Irish part of you. But as like I got older, things like Brexit happened, and you saw like really ugly xenophobia, it made me realise that, yeah, like when my grandparents came here after the Second World War, like I know for a fact they faced loads of stuff like that, right? And I have to remember, the only reason I've never had that stuff in my life is because I'm white. Because I am less English than loads of people who live in this country, right? And if, let's say, my family were all from India, people would view me as an Indian. If my family were all from Ghana, people would view me as Ghanaian. And it's only because I'm from a white English-speaking country, they view me as the same as them. But I'm also from a white English-speaking country that has only recently been treated equally by the English, and still not really, because they occupy the northern part of the country to this day, and a conflict between them and Irish Republicans was actually happening in my lifetime, right? Now, like I said, the anti-Irish stuff is pretty subtle in the UK. It's just the way the whole history between our nations is framed. Obviously, in the UK, we've had people just pushing diversity more. We've had, like, you know, a South Asian Prime Minister. We have the Mayor of London, who's from a Pakistani Muslim background. So there's a lot of diversity in the country, and during like the early 2010s, this was always celebrated. But like I said, with Brexit, it felt like the mask kind of came off, where the xenophobia in the country really rose against EU immigrants or just general non-white English people. Now, there was a guy on LBC who called up to talk about like how he feels about the UK and how he was considering joining the armed forces at one point, and he's from a Pakistani background. And I thought this was really interesting, and I think reflects a lot of the mentality of people in the UK as well. So we had the whole economic side, but now we have the identity side. So for me personally, as I've embraced my Irish heritage more as I've gotten older, I just remember that it's the same military that is occupying a part of the country I'm from, my whole family's from, generations and generations of my family are from, who suffered at the hands of the country I now live in. And it was in my lifetime there was still a lot of anti-Irish discrimination. So I can't forget that. And I don't want to serve a nation state that happily treated people who looked just like me, who had the same background as me, who had the same name as me, very, very poorly until recently. And you take that to if you are from a Muslim background especially, and how much the UK just absolutely hates Muslims at the moment, you can imagine why you would never want to serve this country's military. So let's listen to this.
I'm 25 years old, I'm from Manchester, and I am mixed race. I'm half Pakistani and I'm half English. Around 14, 15, 16, I was heavily considering a future in the armed forces.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Sandringham, train as an officer, and that was dead set on what I wanted to do. At that same time, the Brexit conversation was starting to become big in the UK.
Literally want to be in the
UK
army.
really coming to the forefront.
All
I'd
adults are
always
like,
described myself as a very patriotic person. I was raised by the white side of my family. I considered myself British, English. That period of time came about, and I felt that hatred that I hadn't really felt for a long time until since I was very young. Kind of come back to the country.
Yeah.
I had to really reconsider how I felt towards dying for a country that seemed like it didn't really want me in it. And I think you'll find a lot of young people feel a similar way, and it's not just based off what race they may be or the religion or anything like that. I think just a lot of people look at the people who've had control of this country for the past 15 years and go, well, they don't care about me. We have no public funding for all the important things. So if they don't care about the NHS, they're not going to care about soldiers they're putting on the front lines. You know, you had statistics like 150,000 people died as a result of austerity. Just the idea of that in my head, that in this beautiful country that I've been defending to all of my mates for years, anywhere in the world I will go, I tell them this is the best country in the world.
Come
and then we
on.
let 150,000 people starve because of austerity. Like, what is this as a nation anymore? I thought we were supposed to be the good guys. Like your last caller there, you're talking about how we're a kind nation and we're this and we're that. I mean, the irony of it, that a 50-odd-year-old man is saying that he will go and fight and die for this country when he knows full well he'll never have to make that decision. It's just a talking point.
So that guy perfectly encapsulates, like, basically the whole argument I've been making. So he has the identity element, and similar experience to me. You grow up thinking you're English, British, and you're thinking, like, which is a great, tolerant country, and then Brexit comes around, you're like, oh, actually, we hate everyone. Like, we hate white immigrants from Poland, we hate Pakistani English, we hate African English, we hate everyone, basically. And it reminds you this country is still deeply racist, but then he has all the economic stuff. Yeah, austerity, COVID, how many people did this country let die needlessly because of this? And with austerity, it's a policy. They knew it would kill people, and they didn't care. You're seeing that in the US right now with all the Doge stuff. They know it's going to kill people. They don't give a shit. And you want to die for that? You want to die to protect that because it's not going away. When you die to protect that, your family will still live in a country like this. It's not going to change anything. So who the fuck would want to die for this country? Who the fuck would want to die for a country that is actively making their life worse all the time and won't even entertain any policy to make your life better? That includes the Labour Party as well, includes all of these politicians. And unlike the US, which has often popular politicians, most people in this country absolutely despise politicians because they are all crooks, they are all corrupt, and they are all doing it to enrich their mates. And often they all come from the same background. Rich people who were educated at Eton and Oxbridge, and they all know each other, all friends in the media. So you really want to die for that. And also on top of that, lots of minorities in the UK, which we keep demonising. You're going to try and conscript Muslims into the armed forces, right? While at the same time demonising Islam and Muslims all the time with all the anti-migrant rhetoric about Muslim migrants to the UK, and while disproportionately focusing on the Muslim migrants, because when do we ever talk about Vietnamese migrants, who are one of the highest illegal migrant groups in this country? We never speak about that because it doesn't fit the trendy narrative of we have to stop barbaric Muslims from coming here, right? So this guy is well within his rights to feel like the UK fucking hates him, because the UK government does, and it's all political parties at this point. So, to end all this, Lenin in World War I, obviously, you can go read his writings about all of this, but he is the one prominent guy who got it so right. Everything in World War I was a scramble for capital. It was a scramble for resources, economy, all this stuff. And nothing has changed. And like I said, even the way we talk World War II is absolutely wrong. Like, sure, there are lots of good people, my own family who died fighting fascism included, who fought the Second World War because they wanted to end this terrible ideology that just decimated Europe. At the same time, it still had the element of massive empires clashing over resources and territory. And although that's maybe not as evident when we're talking about Germany versus France and the UK and stuff, It's so clear when it comes to the Pacific Theatre and what this actually is. And all of these people, whether that be French, British, Japanese, or whatever, all of these groups clashing and all of these people killing each other over the desires of their government and the elite in these countries. And that's basically what most wars have always been, and that's what most wars would be now. It's the 1% and people who will never fight like you, sending you into battle to people just like you and making you kill them for what? And I don't know how many of you have watched that Peter Jackson film about World War I, which takes like loads of documentary footage and like dramatizes it and puts it in colour. And it's well worth watching, especially if you're not familiar with World War I, because it just has the element of both the horror of war, but how these people who were killing each other were so similar, and they didn't even understand why they were really doing it. They were just doing it because they were told to. And they just had so much propaganda in their country, so much like jingoism, and they all just swept up in this stuff where they went overseas to just kill each other, like for nothing. And we just have to remember, it doesn't matter our nationality, it doesn't matter our religion, doesn't matter what country we grew up in, doesn't matter what country we're a part of, we're all the same. And class is all the same. And being seduced by this nationalist patriotism to get you to enlist in the armed forces, you signing up to these armed forces is going against your own class interests. And we just have to remember, as the world increasingly slides into far-right oligarchy, the enemy is the 1%. The enemies are our governments. The enemies are not each other. And we shouldn't be eagerly wanting war or eagerly wanting to sign up to kill a Russian because they're the orcs, as some Europeans say. We shouldn't want this, and we should want peace, and we should just direct our anger towards the people who actually make our lives worse. And that's our governments. For the Russian people, it's the Russian government. For the British people, it's the British government. And that's who we should be directing our anger against. People who make our lives worse and actively kill us. Like that guy was talking about austerity and COVID. Tory government and our Labour government have been deliberately killing us. Not the Russian government, not any other foreign government. Our own government, who's meant to look out for us and meant to protect us, and now apparently wants us to join the armed forces to go fight Russia. I'm sorry, most people in this country will not do this because so many in this country feel the exact same way as me, or feel the same way towards the British military for a variety of different reasons. Anyway, that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
Did you guys hear that the Kurds are giving up? They finally fucking broke Öcalan. I don't know what they did to him. They kept him on like a deserted prison island. And I guess they probably tortured him for like 40 years and now he's given up. I'm trying to find a source for this that is remotely neutral, but they don't exist. So let's check this one out. So Abdullah Öcalan is like the leader of the PKK, which is like the main armed Turkish resistance group in Turkey itself. I mean, armed Turkish Kurd resistance group in Turkey, or Kurdish resistance group in Turkey, however you want to say it. The Kurdistan Workers' Party, it's called. And he's still, even though he's in prison, you know, he still has sway over the group. Basically, what he says goes. So that's the end. Then I don't know what precisely his idea is here. Maybe they finally got it out of him. They finally did enough waterboarding that he just decided to say it. But the PKK executive committee said in a statement that they agree and they will comply with the requirements, and we declare a ceasefire. This is like out of nowhere. And he said all groups must lay down their arms and the PKK must dissolve itself. Yeah, that is like out of left field, really. It has to have something to do with like Turkey pushing into Kurdish areas in Syria. The ceasefire came, as some experts note, as the president seeks the support of the third biggest party in the parliament, whose lawmakers liaised between Öcalan and the government to read out the Kurdish leader's statement from prison on Thursday. So it might be because he just needs votes from Kurds, but I mean, he's Erdogan. If he wants to win an election, he can just rig it. Why would he need their votes? I mean, this is something that could easily fail, but like, it's just weird. I will say that like the Kurdish autonomous region in Iraq has worked out fairly well. So that could be used as a model. But again, Turkey is like specifically targeting Kurds in Syria. They have been doing that the whole time they've been involved in Syria. So like any sort of concessions to Kurds in Turkey would likely come at the cost of Kurds in Syria. So it's not like this is a pro-Kurdish move or anything. If anything, Turkey might like end up giving like Kurdish largely Kurdish regions, some more degree of autonomy, acknowledging their culture and stuff, while also using that as a cover to push harder against the Kurds in Syria. Like, no, it's not because they're Kurdish. Look, we have Kurds at home and we gave them an autonomous region. There is like a Kurdish autonomous region in Iraq, which has worked out quite well for, you know, the people there. Wait, I didn't actually know this. In 2017, there were actually apparently armed battles between the armed forces of Iraq's Kurdish autonomous region and the main Iraqi military. Iraq's military says it has completed an operation to retake disputed areas held by Kurdish forces since 2014. So clearly, things are not 100% all well and good there, but still, like, the Kurdish autonomous region of Iraq is way better. Is like one of the richest parts of Iraq, one of the least violent parts of Iraq. I mean, so there is like a model of an autonomy, but it's clearly not at all. It's clearly an uneasy one that the people who live there are not exactly 100% happy with, given that they just recently fought the Iraqi military. Like, I don't really know where this would go. I have to be cynical about it, because obviously Turks hate Kurds. Turks hate ethnic minorities in general. Armenians, Kurds, Greeks. They love to kill them. This is actually more of a recent development. Like, the Ottoman Empire was generally okay about minorities. At least it was way better than most other contemporaries regarding minorities. But when the nationalists started rising at like the end stage of the Ottoman Empire and the beginning of the Turkish Republic, that's when things like went really to shit. Really, I guess once like all the like inspired by liberalism independence movements shot up, that's when Ottoman rule really became more Turkish nationalist and everything went to shit. Like, as soon as it was, as soon as like Ottoman rule was started to actually be challenged, they started becoming just genocidal. I have no fucking clue what's gonna happen with this Turkish thing, man. I mean, it might just go nowhere. Like, whatever talks they have could just like collapse. But obviously, a call to end conflict between Kurds in Turkey and the Turkish government coming as Turkey and Turkey-aligned militias attack Kurds in Syria. I don't have any faith in that being at all good faith. But hey, at the end of the day, Turkey's a NATO ally. They can do whatever they want. Anyone else here give their children parasites from dog shit? You might have heard that Ethan Klein will be going to Israel to show everyone how awesome it is and how there's no apartheid and how it's certainly not racist. There's certainly nothing wrong with it. And I want you all to know that this has been done before.
Today's video will be sponsored by Balesa, so stay tuned to hear how you can participate in Balesa's free giveaway. Months ago, I was browsing the romance novel aisle at Target when I overheard a disgruntled customer starting a fight with the current manager on duty. I continued pretending to peruse the many romance titles while I instead became fully focused on eavesdropping to this conversation. The man was accusing Target of promoting Satanism, and what was his evidence for this? A Stranger Things t-shirt that he found in the kids' clothing aisle. Now, I don't know what the t-shirt looked like because I didn't want to turn around and stare at this altercation and give away that I was listening in. I wanted to just hear it keep progressing naturally. But from what I can remember, it went something like this. Excuse me, do you think this is appropriate to sell to children? It's a shirt for Stranger Things, which is a very popular TV show. But did you read what this shirt says? This is promoting Satanism to children. I don't think the shirt is intended to promote Satanism, sir. I think it's just a reference to the show Stranger Things. It doesn't matter. It still references Satan, and my kids can see that. Sir, I do not control the merchandise that we stock. If you have a complaint, you can go on our website and you can go there and reach out to corporate. Do you understand how hard it is as a father and as a Christian to come into Target and see a shirt like this and then have to explain the concept of the devil to my children? Do you really think that that's appropriate? It doesn't matter what I think. I have no control over what we sell here. I just manage this particular Target store. The merchandise is determined by corporate, so if you have an issue with it, you can just go to our website. How could anyone not have an issue with it? How could anyone think this is acceptable to sell at Target? Okay, on the one hand, I felt really bad for this poor manager who is just trying to do his job, not to be yelled at by an obnoxious customer, clearly on some kind of Christian crusade in the middle of this random Tuesday. On the other hand, this was really entertaining to listen to. And then on the third hand, You know what they say, right? A broken clock's right twice a day. Yeah, it's pretty obnoxious to get upset thinking that Stranger Things merch is secretly going to indoctrinate your kids into Satanism. It's pretty ridiculous to think that this one Target manager in Chicago has the power to change the merchandise in one of the biggest store chains in the entire country. It's pretty cruel to take out your anger on a worker who's paid in hourly wages just trying to do their job. But Bible Bob here was right about one thing, okay? He was right that there are certain things that are being sold at Target that really shouldn't be sold at Target. Anyway, in other news today, we're going to be reviewing the book After by Anna Todd.
Hit you some nuts.
Yeah, you effing.
Up yours, woke moralist. We'll see who cancels who.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Savvy, and this is Savvy Writes Books. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my 100,000 subscriber special video. I recently, just at the start of February, hit 100,000 subscribers. My channel has finally hit that milestone, and as promised, we are going to celebrate today with a special review of this book. This is a very special episode because I'm never reading anything like this ever again, and you will soon see why, okay? But overall, I really do enjoy writing romance novels, reading romance novels, reviewing romance novels. I think they're a lot of fun. Since today we are going to be reviewing a ridiculous romance novel, we are in for a lot of on-the-page sex, which can be very silly, but also it's something that I don't really mind seeing in books since I do consider myself to be a very sex-positive person, which is also why I thought today's sponsor would pair really well with today's topic. Today's video is sponsored by Balesa, a company by women for everyone, all about promoting sexual wellness. And we are doing a giveaway where everyone who enters at the link in my description below will win either a free toy or a gift card toward a toy, something like that. Balesa sent me 3 of their toys to show you guys, and I think these are awesome. First up, we have the Pebble, which is honestly just the perfect size for my hand. It includes both suction and vibration capabilities, which you can control separately. The Pebble also doesn't include any pattern mode, so it's very easy to keep this toy within your full control the entire time. Next, we have the Air Vibe, which is a dual stimulation toy. It is so quiet, so you know it's never going to wake up like your roommate or your dog or whoever's sleeping in the next room. Plus, it is waterproof. And finally, we have the Thump, which has 3 different capabilities. It vibrates, it suctions, and it thumps. The Thump uses Balesa's improved pleasure jet technology. The different movements can be used separately or they can complement each other, like using the suction and the vibration simultaneously. This toy is also waterproof as well. All Balesa products come in discreet packaging, plus the cases look like any other case you might have, like a glasses case or an earbuds case or something else you'd be carrying anyway. And the best part is the toys recharge in their case. So make sure to go ahead and check out our giveaway, which is linked at the description below, because everyone, and I mean everyone, is going to win something, whether that's like a gift card for Balesa or maybe even a free toy. So to enter that giveaway, click the link in my description below where you can sign up for Balesa and enter to win. Balesa ships worldwide with discreet packaging that literally says Containers Plus on it. I think that's kind of clever. If you choose to try Balesa products, I truly hope that you enjoy them. They are honestly really a lot of fun. Thank you again to Balesa for sponsoring today's video and for providing a great segue back into our discussion of this very spicy book. Also, I'm going to give a quick thank you to my Patreon supporters whose names are up on the screen. Top tier patrons can link their own links in my description below, so you can check that out as well. And if you're interested in getting some bonus content like blog posts, behind the scenes stuff, recordings to replay live streams that I do on this channel, just all kinds of just bonus content, you can check out my Patreon, which is linked below as well. After is a novel that was published in 2014 by our old pal Simon & Schuster, who is also famous for literary classics such as Jake Paul's memoir and Jen Sincero's The Straight Girl's Guide to Sleeping with Chicks. But before this book was acquired by the most prestigious publisher of our time, After was first published to a little site called Wattpad. Back in 2013, Anna Todd, who went under the username Imaginator1D, decided to write a piece of fan fiction about a little known band called One Direction. Now, I personally never got that into One Direction. They were popular. Their first big hit came out when I was a freshman in college. I remember thinking that song, You Don't Know You're Beautiful, I thought it was like kind of catchy and fun, but I also didn't get the appeal of the lyrics at all. I was always like, actually, I do know I'm beautiful, thanks. Like, no, not for me. But One Direction had a huge fandom at their peak. Every boy band tends to have that one guy that all the teen girls fall in love with. Sometimes it's more than one guy, often it's more than one guy, but there's usually like one who's the main guy. And in One Direction, that was a man named Harry Styles. I recently saw this meme about how Harry Styles is literally just the name that the Ace Attorney American localization team would give to a witness whose only character trait is that he's a barber. And I have not been able to see the name Harry Styles the same ever since. So this Wattpad user, Imaginator1D, thought it would be fun to write a story about what would happen if she and Harry Styles fell in love. And also if while she and Harry Styles were in their on-again, off-again dating phase, she also got to go on a couple dates with Zayn from One Direction as well. And all the other One Direction guys were just in the story too as like their group of friends. Now, I get it, okay? Back when I was 12, I occasionally enjoyed writing some fan fiction about how one day I might get to make out with Billy Joe from Green Day. But you know where that fan fiction lives? On the Windows 95 computer where I originally typed it, a computer that had never in its life ever experienced a single internet connection. But today we live in a different world. We live in a world where fan fiction like this can get over 700 million reads on Wattpad, prompting publishers like Simon & Schuster to say, hey, let's just change the names of the characters in this book so we don't like copyright infringe on anyone, so we can take him from being Harry from One Direction and make him into a normal guy instead, and you've got yourself a book deal. The characters in this book are not actually in a boy band at all. This is an alternate universe. This is a college setting fanfic. So instead of Harry Styles being a musician, he's just a guy in a frat who the main character has a lot of sex with. So there's really nothing about him that actually makes him Harry Styles. So before the publication, they changed his name to Hardin Scott. That's right, his first name is Hardin. No offense if your name is Hardin, but from my perspective, Hardin is not a name. It is a command that you give your Metapod when you're playing Pokemon Stadium. But regardless, we've got ourselves a Hardin. Now, before we continue, I also want to make one other thing clear. I absolutely love fan fiction. I think it is a beautiful art form, and it's often a labor of love. I've done videos before reviewing books that sprang from the fan fiction community, including very sex-heavy books like that one Omegaverse series I reviewed a couple months back. I think sexy books that start with fan fiction can be awesome, and they're often really well written. If you know me at all, you know that I spend my time in exactly one fanfiction community, and one alone, the best fanfiction community of them all, and that is, of course, the Kirk and Spock shippers, because that is objectively the best fanfiction community. Watch my Star Trek deep dive if you want to learn why I will die on this hill. And plenty of stories that I read in those communities are very beautiful. A lot of the writing is on par with professional and published works. On this channel, I've also reviewed the book The Love Hypothesis, which started out as a Star Wars fanfic about Rey and Kylo Ren getting together. So I guess in my mind, I kind of thought After might be something like that. No, it's not. Not even a little bit. Okay, so first things first, this book is the exact same story as 50 Shades of Grey, except somehow the man involved in the relationship is even creepier and even more abusive, and somehow the woman is even stupider. I'm also gonna need to apologize in advance if I accidentally call the main character of After by the wrong name. Her name is Tessa, but I keep thinking in my head that her name is Anna. Probably both because the author's name is Anna Todd and the character feels a lot like a self-insert, but also because Tessa is just literally the exact same character as Anna from 50 Shades of Grey. Tessa and Anna are both college English majors who love books and want to one day work in publishing. They both have no sexual experience whatsoever, but soon they meet a very wealthy playboy type of guy who gets around a lot and doesn't do relationships, but he has an extremely strong sexual chemistry with this girl. And then she finds out that he is the only girl he will violate his no relationships rule for, and then he'll also help her secure a job in the publishing industry where for some weird reason he happens to have a lot of influence, probably because he's rich, and along the way the rich guy will continue to stalk her and hurt her in a lot of ways that most people would classify as abuse, but she doesn't see it that way because he has a troubled past, and of course that excuses all of his behavior. Plus she's really pretty, and because of how beautiful she is, she can fix him. It's the same fucking story. It's the exact same story, but somehow it's even worse. And one final disclaimer, okay? I know a lot of people enjoyed this book. I know a lot of people thought that this book was hot or thought that the Netflix movie adaptations of it were sexy. You're entitled to your opinion, okay? You are entitled to that preference. What you're not entitled to is tricking me into reading 600 pages of abuse and assault because it was written in a way that ignites your particular fetish. Like I've said multiple times when reviewing Colleen Hoover books, there is a difference between romance and erotica, just like there's a difference between regular movies and adult film. If you're writing erotica or you're making adult adult film, the consumers will go into that with an understanding that the story exists in an alternate universe inside of a sexual fetish scene, not in the real world where people are going to behave with legitimate human motivations. Plus, when you're searching for this type of material online, you can filter things, you can tag things. A fan fiction site was actually just the perfect place for this story. This story exists in what I see as a submission and non-con fetish universe, but when they sell it at Target, they market it as romance. This is not romance. This book is for the non-con kink. I am personally not into that. I'm very put off by it. Some people are into that, and they should have the right to make the choice to consume it if they want to. Others are very traumatized by that kind of thing due to like horrific experiences they may have had in their past. So when they read this kind of thing, it's shocking and they'd like to choose to avoid it if they can. It's all about informed customers making personal choices. If Target isn't going to sell Debbie Does Dallas in the Blu-ray aisle next to the Marvel movies, there's no reason they need to sell After in the romance novel aisle. The part about this book that concerns me the most is that some places are marketing it as a YA romance, and I've seen so many discussions on Reddit from now adults who first read this book in high school and look back being like, shit, that was not healthy for me to be reading at that age. Adults can make their own decisions about whether they want to consume fetish material. It is unethical to market this book to underage girls, just as you would not allow a 12-year-old boy into an X-rated movie, okay? I'm gonna get into more of the details of what I mean by that, but I just want to get that out of the way first. That's all to say that this book includes a lot of potentially triggering material. I'm not going to like verbatim read some of the most obscene parts out loud. I'm going to try to summarize and censor things the best I can while still like maintaining the original spirit, but please know going forward that this book can be very disturbing, and I understand if you do not want to watch this video knowing that. If only Anna Todd had done the same for me. Let's dive in. So we meet our main character, Tessa Young, who is heading off to college. Tessa grew up with a single mom who is very judgmental of her all the time, and she also has a nice boyfriend named Noah, who is a year younger than her, and he plays on their high school soccer team. Tessa has two things going into this that she's really, really afraid of, and those two things are tattoos and gender-neutral bathrooms. Nothing makes Tessa feel scandalized as when she sees people with tattoos or when she sees a gender-neutral bathroom. We're gonna start on pages 8 and 9. At the end of a long hallway, I slide the key into the old wooden door, and when it creaks open, my mother lets out a loud gasp. The room is small, with 2 single beds and 2 desks. After a moment, my eyes travel to the reason behind my mother's surprise. One side of the room is covered in music posters of bands that I've never heard of, the faces on them covered in piercings and their bodies with tattoos, and then there's the girl lying across one bed, and her bright red hair, eyes lined with what looks like inches of black liner, and arms covered in colorful tattoos. Come in, my new roommate yells. The door opens and 2 boys walk inside before she finishes her greeting. Boys inside the female dorms on the first day? Maybe Washington Central was a bad decision, or perhaps I could have found a way to screen my roommate first. I assumed by the pained expression covering my mother's face that her thoughts have taken the same course. The poor woman looks like she might pass out at any moment. So then the boys are in their room, right? My eyes shift to the tall, brown-haired boy leaning against the wall. His hair is a mop of thick waves on his head, pushed back off his forehead, and he has metal in his eyebrow and lip. My focus moves down his black t-shirt to his arms, which are also covered in tattoos. Not an inch of untouched skin is seen. The first part of the story that took me just right out of things is the fact that all of these college kids who are supposed to be between like 19 and 22 years old, they're all supposed to be like a year to 2 or 3 years older than Tessa. These kids all have full tattoo sleeves, and a lot of them also seem to have their chest and backs mostly covered as well. I'm sure there are some young people that have that many tattoos, right? But in this book, it's like basically everyone in Tessa's new friend group has like their full sleeves done, has their back and chest done, sometimes their legs too, which shows me that Anna Todd has no idea how much tattoos cost. Hardin as a character is rich, and it's later explained that his first tattoos were done for free by some of his friends. So like that can explain some of it, and that does happen in real life, but to have this many characters this young with all of this tattoo work done already, to me is not super believable. So this new guy that she just met is of course our leading man, Hardin Scott, and Hardin is instantly rude to Tessa. He completely ignores her. He completely acts standoffish. He is the worst from the beginning. Then on page 13, we get to Tessa's next biggest fear. Grabbing my toiletry bag, I make my way to the shower room. I can already tell that one of my least favorite things about dorm life is going to be the shower situation. I wish each of the rooms had their own bathrooms. It's awkward, but at least they won't be co-ed. Or ... I had assumed they wouldn't be. Wouldn't everyone assume that? But when I reached the door, sure enough, there are 2 stick figures printed on the sign. 1 male and 1 female. Ugh, I can't believe they let this kind of thing happen. I can't believe I didn't uncover it while I was researching WCU. So Tessa's already in for a rude awakening, okay? Gender-neutral bathrooms, the greatest threat to Western society, abound in her college dorm. Her roommate and her roommate's friends all have managed to get about 10 grand worth of tattoos done by age 20. What could possibly happen next? So Tessa's roommate Steph drags her to a party in a fraternity house. At the party, Steph gets too drunk and she needs to lie down. So Tessa helps her into a bedroom, and then of course, it's Hardin's bedroom that she stumbles into by mistake. But when she turns on the light, she's in for a big surprise. What might Hardin have in his room but books? On pages 30 to 31, I turn on a lamp and look around the room, my eyes immediately going to the bookshelves that cover one of the walls. Since this perks my mood up, I go over to it and scan through the titles. Whoever owns this collection is impressive. There are many classics, a whole range of different types of books, including all of my favorites. Spying Wuthering Heights, I pull it off the shelf. It's in bad shape, the binding giving away how many times it's been opened. I'm so lost in Emily Bronte's words that I don't even notice the change in light when the door opens or the presence of a third person in the space. Why the hell are you in my room? An angry voice booms from behind me. So Tessa is absolutely shocked to learn that Hardin, who is a rude guy with tattoos and piercings, actually reads books. She can't believe it because there are 2 types of people in this world. People with tattoos who get drunk all weekend and people without tattoos who read books. I'm not sure where I'd fall. I have 20 tattoos and an entire YouTube channel dedicated to books, so you can decide which one I do. Tessa starts her classes and she's shocked once again to learn that not only does Hardin have books, but he actually reads them. Imagine her surprise when Hardin shows up on her first day in literature class. So she makes friends in her class. She makes friends with this guy named Landon, who I'm assuming is supposed to be another One Direction band member. Landon is a nice dude. He has a girlfriend back home that he doesn't cheat on, and that's pretty much his only quality. But Hardin doesn't like Landon, and he makes sure that Tessa knows this, despite the fact that he doesn't like Tessa either. On page 43, I think this will be my favorite class, I tell Landon as we walk outside, and he agrees, but his face falls when we realize Hardin is walking next to us. What do you want, Hardin? I ask, giving him a taste of his own medicine. It doesn't work, or I don't have the right tone for it, because he seems amused. Nothing. I'm just so glad we have a class together, he says mockingly and runs his hands through his hair, shaking it and pushing it up on his forehead. I notice an oddly shaped infinity symbol tattooed above his wrist, and he lowers his hand as I try to study the surrounding ink. I'll see you later, Tessa, Landon says, excusing himself. You would find the lamest kid in class to befriend, Hardin says as he watches him go. That's the next recurring thing in this book. These college students, they party like college students, but outside of that, they behave like middle schoolers. When I started reading this, I assumed that Anna Todd must have been in high school when she started writing this story. This college seems to exist somewhere in like the High School Musical universe or the My Immortal universe, maybe. There are the goths and the preps, and the goths and the preps don't like each other, and the punks and the goths are different, and you have to remember that, and neither of them like the preps, and they also bully other people by calling the nerdy kids lame. Yeah, this doesn't happen in college. So I just assumed that Anna Todd was a teenage girl who was writing this, assuming that college would just be the exact same dynamics as high school, but with more drinking and sex. So imagine my surprise when I looked up Anna Todd after I read this book and learned that not only was she already 24 years old when she started writing the Wattpad story, but she was also already married. So shortly after that, Tessa gets a call from her boyfriend Noah, who tells her that her mom is really disappointed in her for going out to college parties where people are drinking. And Tessa is like, bro, you're my boyfriend. Why are you tattling on me to my mom? But Noah just keeps doing that. He's very close with Tessa's mom, so to him, it's normal for him to just keep narking on her nonstop like that. So Tessa ends up at another party with Steph and that whole friend group. And during this party, a creepy drunk guy keeps trying to hit on Tessa, so she escapes to a bedroom, which is once again Hardin's room. And she notices this because there are books in it, and Lord knows that frat boys don't read books except Hardin because he's not like other guys. Hardin finds Tessa in his room and he gets mad at her for being in there, and then they have this fun exposition dump of an exchange. Us friends, he He laughs and throws up his hands. Isn't it obvious why we can't be friends? Not to me. Well, for starters, you're too uptight. You probably grew up in some perfect little model home that looks like every other house on the block. Your parents probably bought you everything you ever asked for and you never had to want for anything. With your stupid pleated skirts. I mean, honestly, who dresses like that at 18? Who's gonna tell Hardin that like pleated skirts as an article of clothing are very common in punk community? What? Okay, anyway, my mouth falls open. You know nothing about me, you condescending jerk. My life is nothing like that. My alcoholic dad left us when I was 10 and my mother worked her ass off to make sure I could go to college. I got my own job as soon as I turned 16 to help with bills and I happen to like my clothes. Sorry if I don't dress like a slut like all the girls around you. Wow, the sexual tension in this is just riveting. This is so hot, you guys. So this is the kind of book where you can't even make one of those like 2010 tier still a better love story than Twilight memes, because this book is objectively a much worse love story than Twilight. Like, Twilight is Shakespeare compared to this. Colleen Hoover is one of the classics on Hardin's bookshelf compared to this, okay? At the start of chapter 20, Tessa starts to wonder more about Hardin. There are so many things I don't understand about Hardin. Like, why is he in a fraternity with a bunch of preppy rich kids if he is punk? And why does he go from hot to cold so quickly? Yeah, what's with the punks and the preps mixing? What's next, gender neutral bathrooms? Interracial marriage? So back in literature class, we learned the reason that Hardin likes to bully Landon so much is that Hardin's dad is dating Landon's mom. Hardin and his dad have a very strained relationship and he's not ready for his dad to get remarried after all the trauma that he put his mom through, so he's not happy about Landon potentially becoming his stepbrother. That is a fun plot to throw in, genuinely, but what I've noticed as I kept reading this book is that it's really episodic, okay? When people write fan fiction, they normally post one chapter at a time and the story doesn't really have a set end point. It's meant to just be a continuing collection of things that keep happening because the readers don't really expect it to be one cohesive book that accomplishes one story arc, and that is okay, that's the genre. But when you're reading it as one novel that is supposed to be like one cohesive book, it's really weird how many random subplots keep popping up. Because this book likely wasn't planned or outlined ahead of time, it's going to be especially weird when we get to the twist at the end. The twist at the end not only reveals that Hardin's even more abusive than we realize, but it also makes the rest of the book make even less sense somehow, which is always awesome. So Hardin basically starts stalking Tessa and bullying her all the time. He shows up in her dorm room all the time, which he claims is because he's friends with her roommate Steph and he has a spare key, which no RA would ever approve of. I don't know how he got a spare key. He constantly makes fun of Tessa and he acts aloof around her all the time, but he won't stop just showing up where she always is. And then in one scene where
he recognizes that, so he's like, dude, what are you doing?
Okay, I will say
and then
this.
Elon's retort is, they're gay.
They're gay.
They're gay.
I'm sorry, they're gay, they're black, they're trans, they're gone. No, but the thing is, like, is that, yes, he recognizes that, like, some of this is wrong or whatever, but I think
Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. All right.
You want to do the Trump meeting?
Which one?
Did we do the Musk Doge one?
No, I haven't. I have not done that yet. But I want to see if there's a video of it or something, because I want to see.
Yeah. The Times had people inside. Like, that's how they got it.
This is the one, yeah.
Yeah. No,
all right, you want to start it off? I'm going to go pee real quick while you start.
Marco Rubio was incensed. Here he was in the cabinet room of the White House, the Secretary of State, seated behind the president and listening to a litany of attacks from the richest man in the world. Seated diagonally opposite, across the elliptical mahogany table, Elon Musk was letting Mr. Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. You have fired nobody, Mr. Musk told Mr. Rubio, then scornfully added that the only person he had fired was a staff member from Mr. Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Mr. Rubio had been privately furious with Mr. Musk for weeks, ever since his team effectively shuttered an entire agency that was supposedly under Mr. Rubio's control, USAID. But in the extraordinary cabinet meeting on Thursday in front of President Trump and around 20 others, details of which have not been reported before, Mr. Rubio got his grievances off his chest. Mr. Musk was not being truthful, Mr. Rubio said. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? He asked sarcastically whether Mr. Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. Then he laid out his detailed plans for reorganizing the State Department. Mr. Musk was unimpressed. He told Mr. Rubio that he was good on TV, with the clear subtext being that he was not good for much else. Throughout all of this, the president sat back in his chair, arms folded, as if he were watching a tennis match. After the argument dragged on for an uncomfortable time, Mr. Trump finally intervened to defend Mr. Rubio as doing a great job. Mr. Rubio has a lot to deal with, the president said. He is very busy, he is always traveling and on TV, and he has an agency to run. So everyone just needs to work together. The meeting was a potential turning point after the frenetic first few weeks of Mr. Trump's second term. It yielded the first significant indication that Mr. Trump was willing to put some limits on Mr. Musk, whose efforts have become the subject of several lawsuits and prompted concerns from Republican lawmakers, some of whom have complained directly to the president. Cabinet officials almost uniformly like the concept of what Mr. Musk set out to do, reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in government, but have been frustrated by the chainsaw approach to upending the government and the lack of consistent coordination.
Thursday's meeting, which was abruptly scheduled on Wednesday evening, was a sign
This is the beginning of when it gets funny, by the way.
Was a sign that Mr. Trump was mindful of the growing complaints. He tried to offer each side something by praising both Mr. Musk's team that was not present. The president made mention of the Musk initiative, but now was the time, he said, to be a bit more refined in his approach. This is like the lightest, most like baby criticism that you can give to Elon Musk. From now on, he said, the secretaries would be in charge. The Musk team would only advise. It is unclear what the long-term impact of the meeting will be. Mr. Musk remains Mr. Trump's biggest political financial supporter. Just this week, his super PAC aired $1 million worth of ads that said, "Thank you, President Trump." And Mr. Musk's control of the social media website X has made administration staff members and cabinet secretaries alike fearful that he will target them in public. But if nothing else, the session laid bare the tensions within Mr. Musk's team. And news of the sharp clashes spread quickly through senior ranks of cabinet agencies after it was over. This account is based on the interviews with 5 people with knowledge of the events. In a post on social media after the meeting, Mr. Trump said the next phase of his plan to cut federal workforce would be conducted with a scalpel rather than a hatchet, a clear reference to Mr. Musk's scorched earth approach. Mr. Musk, who wore a suit and tie to Thursday's meeting instead of his usual t-shirt after Mr. Trump publicly ribbed him about his sloppy appearance, defended
Do we know what the I mean, it's the Times, so their style is not to link to other people. Yeah. But I would love to know what he said about Musk.
Yeah.
Like what he said that was the fucking, oh my God, I love it. I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
This is finally some good news.
Yeah. Defended himself by saying that he had 3 companies with a market cap of tens of billions of dollars and that his results spoke for themselves.
All right, let me take this.
He's about to say you bankrupted 7 businesses. He's about to hit him with that one. But you're not a real billionaire. You're fake. You can't go band for band with me, Mr. President.
But he was soon clashing with members of the cabinet. Just moments before the blow-up with Mr. Rubio, Mr. Musk, and the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, went back and forth about the state of the Federal Aviation Administration's equipment for tracking airplanes and what kind of fix was needed. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, jumped in to support Mr. Musk. Mr. Duffy said the young staff of Mr. Musk's team was trying to lay off air traffic controller. What am I supposed to do? Mr. Duffy said. I have multiple plane crashes to deal with now, and your people want me to fire air traffic controllers?
That is probably the best.
It keeps going. It's so good,
the best part.
Mr. Musk told Mr. Duffy that his assertion was a lie. Mr. Duffy insisted it was not. He had heard it from them directly. Mr. Musk, asking who had been fired, said, "Give me their names. Tell me their names." Mr. Duffy said there were not any names because he had stopped them from being fired. At another point, Mr. Musk insisted that people hired under DEI programs were working in control towers. Mr. Duffy pushed back, and Mr. Musk did not add details, but said during the longer back and forth that Mr. Duffy had his phone number and should call him if he had any issues to raise.
I love this.
The exchange ended with Mr. Trump telling Mr. Duffy that he had to hire people from MIT as air traffic controllers. These air traffic controllers need to be geniuses, he said.
Dude.
I love it.
Dude,
I love it.
When I see stuff like this, it increases my libimeter so hard where I'm like, oh my God, they literally are the stupidest people. Like these are unironically, like Trump is unironically dumb. He's such a dumb guy. It pisses me off how much of a dumb guy he is. He's like,
it's so good.
They gotta be MIT. My uncle went there. My uncle was a genius. He was a professor there. And they gotta be from MIT. It's the greatest university. They gotta be brilliant.
Well, it's also like we need to make sure the air traffic controllers are from MIT because we don't want the people from MIT doing the things that we're laying people off in, like, biomedical research, finding the cure for cancer, finding Alzheimer's treatments, exploring all that helium-3 that your chat kept telling me about on the moon.
On the moon.
Yeah, like...
It's not cheese, it's helium-3.
Correct. And instead we need those people making sure that planes don't crash into each other, which they weren't doing, by the way, when we had wokeness.
It makes me so mad. But it is funny because, I like that Duffy has to be the competent guy in this situation because he at the end of the day recognizes that these layoffs are bad, especially at a time when especially at a time when planes are falling out of the sky and there's need for more air traffic controllers, not less. He recognizes that, so he's like, dude, what are you doing?
Okay, I will say
and then
this.
Elon's retort is they're gay.
They're gay.
They're gay.
I'm sorry, they're gay, they're black, they're trans, they're gone. But the thing is that yes, he recognizes that some of this is wrong or whatever, but I think a more useful way to frame this, right, within the context of this whole meeting, because it's about to go to talk about this, the VA, for example. We already had state, this is about secretaries, presidential appointments who see this guy coming in and stepping all over them, taking their power, f***ing up their fiefdom. So the reason that in this article, by the way, notice how he never says a person said. Yes, they're drawing from accounts, but this is reconstructed, on deep background, meaning that more likely than not, the person speaking to the two reporters, Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, is somebody who is in the meeting who has an axe to grind and who wants to make Elon look like a putz.
Yeah.
And that's because these people see the threat he poses to their power. They see that this guy doing what he's doing, like they say in the article, they agree broadly with the objectives of Doge, which is a belief that is in direct conflict with what actually doing that thing means, which is cutting their nuts off collectively.
Yeah.
No wonder they're pissed. They've been taking a fucking beating in the last
You're
week.
cutting your nose to spite your face because you have this insane ideological commitment to deregulation, but that Trump even saying that they're going to use a scalpel instead of a hatchet implies that they certainly recognize the situation and that they're going to have to be more careful in the future because otherwise it's going to become too unpopular. These decisions are far too unpopular because they're far too consequential. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, has been dealing with one of the most politically sensitive challenges of all the cabinet secretaries. Mr. Musk's cuts will affect thousands of veterans, a powerful constituency and a core part of the Trump base. Mr. Collins made the point that they should not wield a blunt instrument and cleave off everyone from the VA. They needed to be strategic about it. Mr. Trump agreed with Mr. Collins, saying they ought to retain the smart ones and get rid of the bad ones. Oh my God! In response,
there's just three.
But this implies that they believe their own shit, though.
Yeah, but this is where it's this, but also that has the tone to me of pacifying a baby. There's a quality where they're well, of course we're gonna keep the good ones and get rid of the bad ones. I mean, but they're running away from the fact that laying off any veterans at all is an insane political prospect for the administration that runs more or less on like American flags on the back of trucks. The next paragraphs are just a bunch of statements that are all boring.
Yeah. Okay. In response, okay, yeah, she's
Duffy is with him. Mr. Musk, who later claimed on X that the cabinet meeting was very productive, seemed far less enthused inside the room.
He aggressively defended himself, reminded the cabinet secretaries that he had built multiple billion-dollar companies from the ground up and knew something about hiring good people. Most cabinet members did not join the fray. Mr. Musk's anger, directed at Mr. Rubio in particular, seemed to catch people in the room by surprise, which I'm going to show you in a second, the aftermath of it, because Trump was asked about it. Another person said Mr. Musk's caustic responses to Mr. Duffy and Mr. Rubio, their cabinet members, many of whom have privately complained about the Musk team from speaking. But it remains to be seen how long this new arrangement will last. Here it is. This is Donald Trump getting asked about the clashes that took place, according to the New York Times reporting, between Little Marco and Little Elon.
Mr. President, since you last spoke about it yesterday, some details have come out about your cabinet meeting with Elon Musk.
And even the dick riders in that room, by the way, still cannot stop themselves from engaging with palace intrigue. So this kind of story,
dude, what is this? What is this channel? Room? I don't know.
Dude, that's Real America's Voice, dog. What do you mean? Excuse me.
I'm always so good.
Excuse me.
It's like, swear to God, we have like American Timu media. You know what I mean?
No, everything. Yeah, everything is like this. Everything is like this. All of the independent media is like this now.
Yeah, it's like fucking like China has Shein and we have like 50 million different conservative media brands.
Yeah, it's great.
Between Secretary Rubio and Secretary
No clash. I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup.
You're a troublemaker.
You're not supposed to be asking that question. First of all, Donald Trump has never shied away from a glaze sesh that is completely irrelevant to whichever world leader is standing next to him. That's his favorite thing, to just make, like, I don't know, the Jordanian king stand next to him as he answers a question about how Zell Disney is a corrupt dictator, or how wonderful the Doge operation has been so far. He just sits there. The Jordanian king is just like has to nod his head along, or Keir Starmer or whatever. So obviously the reason why he's saying you're not supposed to ask that question, the FIFA president is here, not in front of the president of FIFA, is because he doesn't like the question.
And because it's like, and this is the other thing, is like, it's true. Like the premise of it is like very real, and it's probably like the one of the, it's probably given, I mean, to the extent that Trump feels heartburn, it's probably giving him some version of it.
Yeah. Not in front of the FIFA president of all people. Not here, not now. How dare you?
Well, I'm great with Marco, and they're both doing a fantastic job. There is no clash.
Mr. President,
Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC.
No wonder. That's an NBC.
Who has more authority, Elon Musk or the cabinet secretary?
Any other questions about the World Cup?
I'd
love to discuss this.
Yeah.
His mannerisms are great. All right. Finally, it took like a month. It took 6 weeks.
It took longer. It took longer than this shaky allegiance to kind of start crumbling a little bit.
It is like, I think it's, not counting the pre-inauguration period, because those are, that's preseason. It does really seem that like 6 weeks was about the time that most people, like if you gave it to them, would have said that like Musk and Trump would start, oh wow.
Emhud loves this photo. It's such a awful photo.
Is that her boy, the guy?
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy that's the guy from that news outlet that
I didn't see the substance, but that looks like a still from it.
Yeah, it's just this is a terrifying photo.
Yeah, I'm really pissed at the French lady for making that movie that gave us this image. This isn't fair for me to look at.
Yeah.
I always forget too that she has like crazy hands. Like,
yeah, hold on. Okay. Chat, what is a FIFA task force? What is this? Do I even have to say it? Okay. All right. Let's see what else what else happened when they asked the same question again later.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just on the cabinet meeting.
She says, want to follow up on the cabinet meeting, sir, about like Marco Rubio and Elon Musk.
Musk will play an advisory role. Doge will play.
We're talking about FIFA. Thank you very much.
He's like, he loves the sport. He is just this man does not fuck around.
He loves ball.
Yeah. He's like, when is football
time?
I'm
sorry, we're here to talk ball.
When is football time? When is football time?
Why are we talking about Marco?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about little Marco? I'm here to talk about
Does
ball.
little Marco no ball? If not, I don't care. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
I thought we were here to talk about Gooners.
Man.
Are we not here to talk about Gooners?
Mr. President, you're having.
And they're both great guys. And by the way, they both get along fantastically well.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
man. Mom and Dad are doing just fine. They're not going anywhere. She's just spending a night outside of the house because the bed's not comfortable. Everything is fine.
And it's your fault that they're breaking up.
It's actually, you're being a troublemaker. You're not supposed to ask that question. Or they're not going to stay together. If you're a good boy, though, maybe they'll stay together. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Joe has done unbelievably as Secretary of State, and Elon is a very unique guy who's done a fantastic job.
Do you think he needs to be reined in, Mr.
Enough. It's FIFA.
Enough. It's FIFA.
It's FIFA. I don't play 2K. I don't play 2K.
Enough.
It's not a good game. It's not real. It's a Mickey Mouse game.
Enough. It's FIFA.
Best 2 of 3 in FIFA. Golden goal.
Yeah.
5-star teams.
All right.
Thank you.
So there is also the layoffs that have climbed in February to the highest level since the pandemic. And that is not even taking into account like the other additional layoffs that might happen because of the Doge cuts that are happening, even though they've said that they're going to scale those back now, because everything that this administration does is just break things first and then ask for forgiveness later, or just like try to piece it back together later with not much thought given to it at all.
The unemployment report is giving us a fuller picture of the job market under the Trump administration. Meanwhile, new figures show layoffs reached the highest levels last month since the height of the COVID pandemic. Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is with us. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning to you, Adriana. Okay, so today's jobs report missed expectations slightly, but showed a labor market relatively unchanged in regards to
Hello.
Hello. I hear you good.
Hello.
What's going on?
Good. Well, what was for dinner?
Oh, noodles. Some ramen. As usual.
Oh, okay.
Had some cooking up. And
Takeout, or you make it yourself? You're
I'm making
your
it
own?
myself. Saving
You're
that money.
You're doing it.
Cooking.
Nice.
Just cook it. On many levels.
Cooking with gas. Yes. Very good.
Hey, I'm gonna try something here. You're coming in a little soft. I'm just one. Can you give me an echo check?
Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Sounds good.
Awesome. Excellent. How was your day?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah. Just what the hell did I do? I'm sure I did some things. Oh, I sold a couple more guns. I had to go drop those off. So
Fun.
One of the guns, you would not believe, $1,000 I sold it for on that website. Yeah. It was this Mauser. Now, that's a gun that I took to the range and tried out, and I think it's a 22. I could get around to go off, but it wasn't cycling, right? Like the next bullet wouldn't queue up. And so that's a problem.
You were still able to get
I cleaned it, and then I tried it again. Yeah, well, I'm gonna pretend that I didn't take it and I didn't know if they say anything, but we'll see. I mean, I assume that when they deal with old guns, they must have somebody there who puts like new springs in them and can kind of fix them up and get them working again. But
for sure,
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't sold a gun to them yet that they've come back and said, buddy, this thing is not, as advertised or whatever. So we'll see what happens, but so far so good.
Excellent. That's good news.
So we're splitting the money up with, Rachel's brother and crap, but I'm almost through all the handguns.
You should get a little bump, a little bonus for your efforts.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm keeping one of the guns.
Well,
so
okay,
okay,
that sounds good.
This 45. They offered me $300 for it, and I'm like, it's like a World War II kind of a mock, whatever you call it, a reproduction of a World War II gun. Yeah, it's a beast. It's a 45, which would make it the biggest caliber I own.
Is it a revolver?
And yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, if you ever want to go shooting.
Well, I don't own any guns, but I'm thinking about getting something because fascism is taking over America. I'm waiting for the SS to knock on my door and then remiss to not have a shotgun to put in their face.
Right.
Anywho, Are you?
Anyway, you can just.
I'm sorry, I'm
into a
killing
match
our
if you
time
want.
here. You have until 8. What's going on tonight?
No, we're just Rachel's. It's her Friday too,
Hell
so
yeah.
we're just gonna watch some TV. I think we'll watch. Oh, I don't know, White Lotus. We're watching that. It's not as good as the last season and the season before that, but it's all right.
I actually saw a YouTube video. I don't know, I may have mentioned this channel or called Splattercast. They're good. They have like a top 5 lists and stuff, and just like they bring up a lot of movies I've never seen, and they posted a video today about 5 short films, and they're all on YouTube, and some of them look creepy, and like, but none of them were like more than like, I mean, they're all like around 10 minutes.
No shit. Send it to
I
me.
will. I'll send you that list. Yeah, I'll send you that video with the list. But there's one that was called like Smiling Man. That was in the list. It looks fucking creepy shit. You know, I'm gonna send it.
Yeah. It's kind of like what my friend Rich, former roommate, he's the guy who makes short horror films. That's the kind of thing he wants to do, or he does do, but, to me, like a lot of his stuff, it's like just the writing, and he knows that I've offered to help, you know what I mean? But he doesn't. He's one of those people who likes to control all aspects of his creation.
Well, I mean, he needs to. He needs some self-awareness with that. Know where your weaknesses are.
Eliminate the enemy. Take him out.
Yeah. I've never been able to understand it because he's been doing this for years. But like, he's made a couple things that I thought were kind of cool.
Yeah.
But most of the time they're not. They just, like I said, they just kind of fall short in the writing, and sometimes the acting, it's like half good, half oh god. Like like he'll have like one good actress, and then like he'll have somebody who's just like horrible in the same movie. So it kind of just throws the whole thing off, you know. So
Well, I
don't know
mean,
how much of that's
it's definitely
coaching
what I
or
first thought
just their
about
experience.
when I saw this list.
Jesus.
Some of these look really good, so I would definitely, if you he hasn't seen some of them, check those out too. Some of them are like
Me by a mile.
crazy that they're. I mean, and the YouTuber brings up the fact that short film is well dominated by horror. It's like really good.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's good. Yeah, I sent it to you. Check it out if you got the time. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Lead charge.
This last one he did, I'll have to send it to you. It's called I think it's called Insomnia. Or no, Melatonin. It's called Melatonin. It's about somebody with insomnia. And I mean, like, I'm hard pressed to. I can't tell you like what the point of making it was. Like, it just like you're just. I mean, I have to send it to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You need to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, when you get a chance. I'm gonna go through some of those short horror films I saw on that list tomorrow. Yeah, definitely in the mood for that kind of stuff.
All right.
I'm gonna try to get Long Legs in there and Nosferatu.
Watch it.
Thinking about watching The Lighthouse again before I watch Nosferatu. So Lighthouse is actually.
been getting a lot of kills on that that person who's dressed like a female doll.
Oh, that's from Squid Game
or whatever it is. Squid Game, yeah.
They literally just killed me.
They're hurting. They don't like me. Whoops.
Yeah, I never finished the first season of Squid Game. I don't know, man. It's at this point, it seems like it's kind of gone off the rails as far as like the message he was trying to get out.
What was the message?
Well, just this idea of like, I mean, have you seen Squid Game?
No, Rachel and I think we turned it on for a minute or something. She wasn't into it. But
Yeah, it's same here. I mean, it's just kind of like the whole premise is like there's like basically like this competition that like these rich people run that like basically poor desperate people, participate in, for a chance to get a whole lot of money, but like it's like they have to risk their lives and like they can die and shit. But basically, it's like for the entertainment of these rich people. It was just kind of this like class dynamic, stuff like that. At least that's how it started.
Different than from like The Running Man.
Kind of a little bit. But now they have a second season, and I don't know where the hell they're gonna take this. So I think it may have gone away from any kind of. It's almost been parodied to death. Like there's Call of Duty skins. And it's kind of like it's any serious tone that it was trying to portray is probably gone. And I don't know. I think that's kind of
incoming lethal.
Kind of to the disappointment of the writer or the original writer of the series, supposedly, but he's probably getting well compensated. Because apparently he didn't make a whole lot of money on the first season, even though this first season like blew up. It's either like a really crappy deal with Netflix.
Really? Oh my god, how horrible would that be?
You're right.
Oh, what a nightmare.
But apparently he got a better deal for the second season. So the dude's probably sitting pretty at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't make it through the first couple episodes.
Uh-oh. Squid Game is getting her revenge on me.
Oh no.
Yeah, they've woken up.
I'm looking for them.
Come on, fucker.
Where you at, dollhead?
Come on. Oh, come on. That game.
Check. I just got killed with by the hot lady with the pajamas. I'm not complaining.
Shit ain't working.
Single shooter.
Oh, fucking camper up top there.
Oh, I just made that. Got a headshot on Big Head.
You want to get out of this alive? Better.
Come on. Oh, Big Head just got me. Oh, man.
Rock and roll.
He had a decent game. He not so much. Oh, hey, let's go.
Look at this.
Freaking dude. Murder. All of you. Just look at this guy just sitting there. You don't even know I'm gonna kill you. Shot in the head. Look at that. Look at that head.
Wow.
It's a massive skull. Would not be comfortable. guys.
I wonder how they the size of the target. You know what I mean? Like that's a big target.
Yeah, you think it'd
like
be
the
easier to hit 'em?
Terminator robot is nothing. You'd think.
I mean,
But I don't know if they
I
maybe
did
they
get some
adjust
headshots on that. So. The giant head wasn't hurting me. You got time for one more? You gotta get going.
Interesting.
It's about 7:57.
Yeah. Let's do one. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
One more.
On the same map though. God damn it, dude! I don't know what it is tonight. I feel like I've been getting the same maps like multiple times in a row, and it is infuriating.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Super annoying. It's like, what the hell? I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot of maps, sure, which is fine, but like, you're playing the same ones over and over again. Can you not mix it up? Makes sense.
Teach those pathetic crimson bastards a
Yeah, sorry for being late tonight. I know you're gonna be you're not gonna be on the next couple minutes, right?
Yeah, probably not tomorrow or Sunday. Yeah.
Worries. Well, I hope you have a good time this weekend, man. I hope everything goes well. I am going to be hard chilling. I'm gonna try to work on some music. Which just basically means I'm gonna like just kind of mess around in Ableton. Which is what I call working, quote unquote working. It's basically just opening instruments and fucking with them for a few minutes. Or watching tutorials of how to actually use them. Those headshots. Yes! Tight. I need 25 more headshots and then I'm working on my dark spine, but I do have this LMG I'm working on right now, the GPMG7. For some reason I have not fully camo ground, so I'm just doing the regular ass headshots. Need to do golden. But I think I only need like.
We're using
What?
You're using the LMG. The
Yeah,
DP,
right
is
now
that
I'm
what that
running
is?
through these LMGs.
Yeah.
This one, for some reason,
That's
I
what I
didn't
got.
get gold yet. Diamond. But I've only got like 5 more guns to go. Before I doesn't matter.
Problem with your eyes?
And like Dark Matter, you still have to do a challenge to get it, which is like 5 kills 3 times. So I don't even think I'm gonna
Incoming lethal.
grind that camo on all my guns. Probably just on the ones I use the most, you know. There's no goal or point to get Dark Matter and everything. There's no camo after that.
Ah, come on. Oh, fuck.
Having a very good game. Keep it up.
Taking me a little while to warm up to the LMG. Doing better just sticking with it for a while. Little war cry for you.
Oh, thank you.
That's a little war cry.
Oh shit, oh shit. So now I can use all the help I can get. Sorry.
It's alright. I thought that person was still in there. They were gone. They were dead. Oh shit! Oh, hot swap. I love when I manage to pull those off. Not easy. We both ran out of ammo and we're staring at each other trying to get...
That's sometimes
come on.
Like, who has the gun that has a faster reload? Let's see.
Total Clint Eastwood moment.
Deploying RCXD.
It's times like that.
I know what you're thinking.
It's times like that you wish you had some proximity chat or something. It's gonna be like, I'm gonna get you, you bastard. You just wait till I'm done loading.
Dude, this guy was on a container and I had the RXD underneath him and I'm like, well maybe I can roll up a little bike halfway up the container and blow it up, and I did it. I pulled it off.
Nice. Love that.
Like, he might be a little too high, but I'm like, I don't know, I think I could probably get him. He thought he was safe.
Pizza power. Enemy shield upgrade.
Uh-oh. You hear that fucker?
Oh, RCXD. Come on, come on. Oh, god damn it. That away from me. This way. Let's go on a joyride. Took out one of our guys. This area's called Blueprints. It's a terrible name for an area. Oh shit, yeah, I got in here. Try to kill him. Who's my way?
Hostile sighted.
Where are you? You're on. Good night.
Oh! Falling behind. RCXD in your AO.
I got artist.
Oh, I'm getting spizzanked. Actually, yeah. Oh. close. Everyone was doing pretty damn well.
Want a piece of this?
Yeah.
Except for the guy. Dr. Hunter. So do you think he hunts doctors, or do you think he's a doctor and his last name's Hunter? Or do you think he's just like, he really needs a doctor?
Check one out.
Putting it out there.
He doesn't know how to call the doctor, so he made his human tag. Doctor. I need help finding doctor. Help me.
Dr. Hunter. You put up your doctor
figures
traps.
Out.
Oh God.
Alrighty then.
Excellent. Well, sir, have an excellent evening. I actually might get off myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done with challenges, but I'm the sleepy's starting to hit me. I might crash.
Okay, man. All right. Well, I'll send you the movie that my friend made. And,
Oh yeah, please do. Please do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It can't be more than 10 minutes, and yeah, just don't have any expectations.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, and check out that
All right.
check out that list I sent you.
Will do.
Excellent.
All right. Well, have a good weekend. If I don't talk to you.
To have a lot of fun. Talk to you soon.
Okay. See you later.
And I am tired, so I will see you later too. Bye bye.